Okay, I'll call the meeting to order of the Carroll County Commissioners, dated for April 2nd. And the first item on the agenda is public input. Yes, sir. Representative Gadelli.
Good morning. I was just curious in general terms about commissioners' process. Is it typical or is it policy related to commissioners taking majority votes versus unilateral action, or how does the commission approach that subject?
What subject are we talking about?
Just
the process?
Yes. Do you always vote in a majority for actions that you take, or do you sometimes act unilaterally, or how does that work?
No, we take a vote.
Okay.
Yep.
So for all actions, there should be a vote?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. My name's Chris Sawyer,
Oh, okay.
and I'd like to speak to you briefly.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Cordelli. I'm here today because apparently the water department says that we owed some bills from 2005, 2006, and 2012. We were never billed for this service. Now, just to preface and introduce myself, the Sawyer family has lived in Ossipee for many generations. We're a well-respected family, and we're also known for paying our bills timely. So when I received a balance forward on December 31st, 2013, with outstanding invoices, I was shocked for two reasons. One, if the invoices had been sent to us, why was there no follow-up? And two, I can clearly state that we were not billed for these services. And there has been correspondence going back and forth between myself and Mr. Sorensen. And in those letters, which now I understand, there should be a vote taken on any decisions made that Mr. Sorensen acted on his own. He did not consult with either of the other commissioners. Now, in my first letter, I did offer a compromise, even though these invoices are outside the statute of limitations in regards to both 38:22 and RSA 80. We are not subject to this debt. But I did talk to Mr. Babson, and I did say to him, yes, we would offer a compromise and make a payment plan on this particular issue. And I did talk to him, I think it was like at 10:42, maybe on, what, the 25th or 26th? Maybe, something like that. But since that time, I have the letters, I have the correspondence from Mr. Sorensen, and he is telling us that we will have our water disconnected on the 10th, which I believe is outside the scope of your authority because no vote was taken. The bills that we did not receive are outside the statute of limitations. So I'm here today. I would love to come to a resolution. I'd love to get this taken care of, and I'd love to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Have you submitted a plan as to how you plan on paying off the bills?
I'm not paying off all the bills because they are
Have you submitted
not.
any plan to
I
do
talked
that?
to Mr. Babson, and in my first letter to you, I did state to the business office what we would pay. In the very first letter I sent on March 17th, I stated exactly what we would pay.
And how you would pay it?
I told you we would send you a check for that amount.
Okay.
Did you not read my
I'm
letter?
not aware of that. Okay.
Well, you said you read my letter in your letter of the 19th
Yeah.
to me, and you did
Yeah.
not.
Well,
Because if you had, you would have understood, we did make an offer, we did offer to pay a portion of it, even though we were not billed. The county never followed up, never sent us a balance forward, never sent us a statement. So as of right now, I'm stating right this moment,
yeah.
even though we are not subject to this debt, because we were never billed for it and it's outside the statute for collection, we're offering right now to make a payment in a lower amount because we're not subject to it anyway, and move on, and everything be clear.
Go ahead.
What was that RSA, Chris?
RSA, it's right in your booklet, the business office
I
sent it to
don't
me.
have it. Can you tell me what it is?
RSA 38:22 states that we are supposed to be notified within 120 days of the bill being delinquent for it to be a lien. And then the other one that I did look up, because that's another one that attorneys use for placing a lien on your property or disconnection, and it's personal property tax because water bills are considered a personal property tax. That's RSA 80, and that statute is 18 months.
Okay, so what are you willing to pay?
What are we willing to pay?
How far back are you willing to pay?
I'm not willing to pay how far back. What I'm offering to pay, first of all, I'm not offering to pay anything from 2005 and 2006, because that's absolutely preposterous to ask us to do that, because we never received a bill. And we never received a bill for the 2012s either. And I have also with me every single piece of paper that I've ever received from the county, along with every other invoice on the properties here in Ossipee. So I can clearly show you that we pay our bills timely, and these bills were not received by us.
So during those years, you were using the water, but you didn't think you had to pay for it?
No, that's not what happened. Any bills we received from the county, we paid. The county did not do proper accounting and bookkeeping because in normal business procedure, if there's an outstanding balance, the person gets a statement stating there's an outstanding balance. If we didn't know there was an outstanding balance, of course we cannot pay it because we were not billed for it.
Okay.
And the county has never sent statements. All we get every 3 months is an invoice. We get no verification that received our payments, no balance forward, anything.
Again, I'd ask you, what are you willing to pay?
Right here today, to
Yeah.
settle it, $350.
How much?
$350. Do you know what my outstanding debt supposedly is?
I didn't check this morning. I know when I checked this morning, you were up to date on the current year.
Mm-hmm. I'm up to date according to all the records that I've received. The county never billed us for these other outstanding invoices. And it's
Okay.
preposterous for the county to ask us to pay for something from 2005 and 2006.
Okay.
So those I will not offer any payment on. I will offer to pay $350. I have a check with me. I can go right down to the business office right now and I can pay it in full.
Okay, I think the board would take that under consideration. All I'm doing is following what the policy is, which every landowner in the village had received as to the payments and what was paid quarterly and so forth over the years. And
Well,
that's why
actually-
I wrote you that letter.
Actually, you didn't follow the procedures. You didn't, because I did go back through and look. So all I want to do today is I want to move on. I'm happy to pay it. If you guys take a vote right now, I'll walk right downstairs. I'll pay it right in full right now. Absolutely. $350, and my account will be in the clear. I'll walk right downstairs. I'm asking the board to please take a vote.
Do you have, go ahead, have any opinion?
Yeah, Mrs. Sawyer, you're telling us for 24 quarters going back to 2005 to 2013, you never received a bill?
No. I have received bills, with the exception of the ones you're claiming that I have not paid on. I have them all here, and I have paid on them. And you can actually go downstairs and get a printout of my account, and you just said you did review my account. Of course I've been paying.
Yeah.
Of course they've been paid. They've
Yep.
been paid. Absolutely. What I'm telling you, Mr. Babson, we did not receive those other outstanding invoices.
Did you use the water?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
You didn't send the bills. We're not liable for 2005
Did you think we were just
and
testing the
2006.
meters and put them in your house? What's your responsibility? Don't you, you're an outstanding citizen of Ossipee. Didn't you, so you just said, why didn't you step up the plate and say, you know, I haven't got the bill?
Mr. Babson,
Yes, Mrs. Sawyer.
if I had not known that I was missing a bill from 2005 and 2000, how would I have known? I wouldn't have known.
Well, you tell us you keep good records.
I do keep good records, and
Then
the,
why didn't
and
you
the
know?
records are, you didn't send me a bill. You didn't send me a bill. And we can argue this all day. The fact of the matter is, it's past the statute for collection. The proper procedure has not been followed. I am happy to go downstairs and write a check right now to clear the account. I'm pretty sure I asked for how many other people you're trying to collect from outstanding invoices, and that has not been answered. And I have consulted with 2 attorneys and the AG's office, and they said the statute has passed. If I didn't receive the invoices, how could I pay them? I couldn't. In 2005 and 2006, I didn't get an invoice. And in 2012, that one area where you're talking about, I didn't get the invoice. If I had, I would have paid it. We've always paid our bills on time. You can go back through and you can see our payment record. And you can tell me today that I have been paying it. Every time we got an invoice, we paid it. Every single time. And no, I haven't been using the water and not paying my bills.
What I said was that when I checked this morning, you were current in the 2013, you had paid those bills. Okay.
So I'm asking the board to please make a vote, and I will happily go clear it up.
I think for the board, we need to look at the records as to what you have paid and what you haven't paid.
You already said you consulted with the commissioners in your previous letters to me, so the commissioners should be fully aware of
No, I
this.
consulted with the county attorney to find out whether it was correct or not, and she said, yes, send it.
Send the bill.
Hmm?
The county attorney said, yes, it was correct, send the
Yeah.
bill.
Well, the thing is, it was not sent originally, and it's outside the scope of statute of limitations for collection.
I guess what we're looking for, from others as well, was a plan as to how you were going to pay your back balance. Now, you have said that you did not submit a plan, is that correct?
I did state in my first letter what we would pay. I stated it in my very first letter of March 17th to the business office. There was no plan, I said what I would pay, and I said I would submit a check.
Okay.
Right then and there. And all of this has since occurred, and the fact of the matter is, we cannot be liable for a balance that's over 18 months old. It's outside
Okay.
the realm. And I've, like I said, I talked to the Attorney General's office, and we're not liable for it.
Okay.
So I'm asking again, because I need a resolution. This has been going on for weeks. To have the board vote to accept my payment in full for $350 and move forward.
Do we want to take that under consideration, or do we want to make a vote right now? Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, we don't accept the offer, and that we pursue this with our county attorney, whether in fact 3828 says that the Sawyers don't have to pay their water bill.
Okay. That's a motion?
Yes.
Do I hear a second? I'll second it.
A discussion?
Any further discussion?
Yes, I have a question. When you say the county attorney, do you mean Robin Gordon or
Yes.
the legal okay.
County, yeah, Robin Gordon. No further discussion?
Well, I think I like to move forward to accept the $350, and if there's really a statute of limitation, if we cannot collect it, then we cannot collect it. I think it is the county mistake for not sending out and doing the proper billing.
Okay.
Mr. Sorensen, just,
Go ahead.
I have everything that you said. You did not act with proper authority. You sent these letters unilaterally. You're supposed to have consulted with both commissioners. You were supposed to have discussed this as the three of you. I know for a fact you didn't. So all these letters that you sent to me telling me that my water is going to be turned off on April 10th is invalid. Now, I want this resolved today. I do not want this to continue on further. I know what you say, that you spoke to Robin Gordon. I know what I say. I spoke to 2 attorneys plus the AG's office, the chief investigative officer, on the 30th. And I'm telling you now, the statute of limitations for collection is passed. I'm offering to pay a certain amount of money, even though we are not liable to pay it because the statute is passed. I think it would, why would the county want to waste more time, more money consulting with an attorney when you have the offer on the table, it's cash in hand, and we can move forward? I don't understand that, because the fact of the matter is, these letters you sent to me are not valid. You cannot act unilaterally. You just stated so.
Have you read the policy?
Yes, I have, actually.
But that you're not following that policy.
Actually,
And that's all I did was
No,
say
you
to
didn't.
you
No, you didn't.
that you needed to come up with a plan to
No,
pay off the bill.
No. What happened was, I sent you a letter saying I would pay this. You came back and you, by yourself, without notifying either of the commissioner, said something different. So, as I said, I'm offering to pay the $350 today, and we move forward.
We ready for a vote? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay?
I oppose.
Okay. We voted not to accept it.
Okay. I'll be going across the street then.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yes,
I was just curious as to how many other residents of Ossipee are in the same situation as Ms. Sawyer with,
Answer that?
go ahead.
According to 91A, you should have been given that to me by now anyway.
Go ahead.
Glenn, is your question, excuse me, Representative Cardelli, is your question, how many people haven't paid their bill, or how many haven't come in and made resolution?
how many people were not billed in a timely fashion and have been requested to pay previous amounts that they were not billed for?
Those
The
that,
answer,
go ahead.
the answer to that question is, there are 7 people that haven't paid their bill. Mrs. Sawyer is the only one claiming that she didn't get a bill. All others have come in and come back and made some attempt to resolve the problem.
Correct.
I would just clarify that I think she has made an attempt to resolve the problem, so I would maybe differ, on that point with you, but thank you for that information.
Okay. Public input? Damon?
Why are there 7 people who've had a problem with their bill one way or another?
Excuse me?
Why are, you just said there's 7 people who haven't paid their bill, or there's some problem with their bill. Why is there a problem with the billing? Is it just these people fell behind, or what are you saying about these other people?
Some people fell behind. Some people went to the town to get money to pay their water bill.
Is that typical? Like, is that?
No, it's not typical. These people just couldn't afford to do it. They had to find some other source of funding. And all we asked for was a plan, how they were going to pay up the balance.
I mean,
And they
so
all submitted a plan, and they're all current.
all 7 are current right now?
Right,
6 out of 7.
6 out of 7.
yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else, further comment, public comment? Yes,
Good morning.
good morning.
This is going to be totally different day.
Okay,
Maureen and I are here to just give you an update on the Friends of Mountain View and what we're doing and what's happening with regard to our commitment. As many of you know, Friends of Mountain View is an organization that raises funds. It's a 501c3. We raise funds for the county nursing home. And we believe that we're raising funds for things that the county is not able or cannot or aren't doing for the residents of the nursing home. To make the home, as I and we have always said, a real home and not just a place for storage. So Maureen is going to tell you about some of the things that we have done and what is coming up in the very close future. Maureen?
Thank you. Ed very kindly pointed out that last week I just sort of assumed that everybody knew about the Friends of Mountain View, and just because it's on my mind all the time. A lot of people probably don't know. As Dorothy said, we're a 501c3. We organized when the new nursing home was built, and it's our goal to provide the residents with as many of the comfort, things that will make them comfortable, such as we spent over $10,000 on snoozling equipment to furnish those rooms. That is a therapeutic technique that's used on people that are agitated. It consists of lights, music, different things that they can hold in their hands. It's just sort of a comfort place you can take people to go to calm them down. It's a very well-known therapeutic technique throughout, I think, pretty much the world, I can say. But the equipment's expensive, so people don't use it a lot. But we've actually furnished 2 rooms with this equipment. We every year we buy Christmas gifts for all the residents. We purchased. Howie came to us and asked us about a flagpole and the lighting for it, so we authorized funds for that. We put on a harp concert, which the residents just loved. That was an evening program, and they just loved it. They packed the place. There's just other numerous little things that we've done for them that make the house a home. So this fundraiser that we're doing, this is the 2nd year. It's called Just Desserts. It's 2 hours of an all-you-can-eat sort of extravaganza of people come together and bake their best creations. It's not just a bake sale type of, cookies and bars and stuff like that. It's people work really hard to make cheesecakes and just these wonderful creations that you can go through, take as much as you want for $10, sit and have coffee and tea, socialize with people, and then generally enjoy the dining room at Mountain View. And we work really hard to bring this to you. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time and effort and coordination, and we would just like to ask the people to support this organization, support this event, because it's an important fundraiser for us, and we're hoping to make sure that we can do this every year. And we also, in the fundraiser, we also are doing a silent auction, and we have some really nice things to auction off that people have donated. Everything's brand new, so you can shop and eat and socialize and just generally have a good time. And it'll be Sunday the 6th, and it'll be from 3 to 5.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Babson.
I can attest to how well the event went the last time I was there, and I suggest you don't eat for a couple of days before this, because you can put on a lot of weight. It was absolutely delicious. The food was good. The auction raised a lot of money, and Maureen and the Friends of Mountain View do a wonderful job supplying us supplying the residents with things that they may not otherwise get.
Well, go ahead.
I just wanted to add one thing. One other thing that happens is that the residents themselves, they have an organization. And this, a few months ago, one of the residents from the organization came in and said that they needed something to decorate tables at in their dining rooms. We came up with the money to give them what they wanted, what they requested. So that's another way that the Friends does help the residents here in Mountain View.
Yeah, they wanted bird feeders and seed so that they could fill them, and we did that for them. So Susan's actually making that an activity. So
I think it's great that you have a core group of volunteers that are doing this for the residents of a nursing home. I'm sure they appreciate it, and we appreciate you doing those little things that make it more homely for them. And I think the taxpayers and in the county also would thank you for doing that as well. Hopefully you'll get good participation this Sunday, right?
Mhm.
From 3 to 5 for the desserts.
You will have chocolate sauce?
Absolutely, David.
Chocolate
I have
sauce?
to buy it myself. I will have it for you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else?
No, thank you for hearing us.
Okay. Dorothy, do you want to say anything more about the old nursing home at this time, or you want to wait?
We've been meeting regularly, the group that I work with. We have some absolutely fantastic people with great knowledge working on this. We have established our 501c3 through the state. We're working on the IRS at the present time. We're holding a fundraiser in next month, so we're getting on there.
Okay. We haven't discussed it publicly, but we will be putting out an RFP on the old nursing home to take down 2 of the wings and put a roof over the core section. Now the budget season is over, now we can spend some more time in doing that, so. And we also know that the probation department definitely wants to rent a portion of the old nursing home as well. They want to be here on the campus.
Yes,
Yeah.
I recall that, having worked on that while I
Okay.
was on
Yep.
the...
Go ahead.
Dottie, while we're going out for the request for quote or proposal to fix the roof, you're gonna have to fix your roofs too. Do you want us to include that as a subsection on our request, or what do you want us to do?
I have a meeting on Monday, let me bring that up.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, it appears to me, while the roofer's here, it'd be easier to do all of it than just a part of it.
That may very well be, and I will discuss that with the gentleman who's the engineer that we're working with. Knows that, the architect that we're working with.
Okay. Any other public input? Seeing none, we'll move into our normal agenda. And Howard, you're on the first?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
First of all, I want to thank the Friends of Mountain View, and especially, Maureen and Dorothy for being here. Because unlike any other group that I've seen, in addition to raising money, they're actually contributing to the cultural aspect of the residents' life there. The harp concert was wonderfully attended. Just Desserts brings down other residents for different things. So it's a very special and dedicated group that are doing all kinds of wonderful things behind the scenes and laying the groundwork for some future things that are going to be instrumental to keeping Mountain View the wonderful place that it is. So thank you both.
May I add
Dorothy?
something? I just remembered something. World Review, there's that magazine that rates.
Yeah.
U.S. News and World
U.S.
Report.
News and World Review. They rated Mountain View 5 stars, best that you can get.
Yep.
One of the best in the country.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
On a more business note, following up on the waste management contract that you wanted to review before signing that was presented last week, and didn't know if there's any other information you needed for that, or whether that was ready to be voted to be approved and signed.
No, I want to read it, that's fine. Let's go ahead with it.
And that's the contract, correct?
Yep. You're the boss, you sign your place first.
Do you need a
and
vote on that to authorize?
Excuse me?
Do you need a vote to authorize
Yes, we do.
the signing?
I'll make a motion, we accept the waste management contract dated April 2nd, signing as of April 2nd, 2014.
Okay. And this contract is good for
3 years.
3 years?
Correct.
Okay. 29 months,
With the
okay.
new prices going in effect immediately.
Which represents a savings.
Motion's been made, and I'll second it. Any further discussion on the contract? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Did you vote, Commissioner?
Did you vote?
Yes, but I just like to see it. Is it the same one? Is it just a renewal?
It's exactly the one you got last week.
But this is a renewal, is it things changing?
The change from the previous contract, all services are the same with the exception that we get at no cost an additional spare dumpster for emergency use, and the price goes down by $155 per month.
Okay, I vote yes on it.
All right, then the motion passes unanimously. Let's see. 4-2-14. Okay, what else you got, Howie?
Well, actually,
While we're
just to,
signing this.
other just to report that census is up, and I think with an admission tomorrow, we're going to be back to being full again,
103?
103.
Good.
So we're in good shape that way. Other than that, there's nothing else remarkable to report to you.
Okay, you've seen the final budget
Correct.
as to whatever reductions that were in the nursing home budget, right?
Correct.
I think what the delegation is saying, and they base it on what was not used last year in most cases, so that should send a message to you that those things that you budgeted for, hopefully you can get them for less price, but that you do purchase whatever needs to be done, or your budget, however it needs to be used for the purposes that you put it in for, then we ought to make sure that that's done.
There are some things that are variable with the greatest differential between what was budgeted and unused had to do with a reduction in Medicare census. When our Medicare census goes down, our costs for Medicare go down. When our Medicare census goes up, our revenue goes up, but our cost goes up, but the profit margin maintains itself. And that's a difficult concept, although the subcommittee understands that perfectly. I'm not sure that the entire delegation understood that there are times when not spending money isn't the basis for cutting it out of the next year, because you'd be cutting into your future revenues as well.
Right.
But the cuts that they did make were relatively minor to it's actually a shift in the pellet line from the heat line, so that at some point we could actually reclassify that as a heat line rather than a propane and a pellet line in any case. But we should be
Are you saying we should combine those two?
Well, given
In some cases, they want to combine things, in other cases, they want to itemize or separate out. So I don't know which direction really they want to go in.
It'd make more sense for it to be a heating line. And then for us at the management decide whether it's cheaper to go with propane on a given day or wood pellets. And that's, it would just make it easier, because budgeting for propane as though it obligates us to buy propane instead of wood pellets doesn't make sense. But that's relatively minor. And we'd be keeping the commissioners advised anytime we went over in one and under the other. So we'd be presenting it to you as a heating thought. But, there'll come a time, and maybe it'll come as part of a review, overall, that we're gonna want to, it's time for looking at a lot of those account lines to be looked at, to see if they still make sense in the way they did when they were first presented years ago.
Okay. You got a question?
No, I'm concerned with the price of propane and the way it fluctuates. And is it the time that now that we should be taking a look at maybe purchasing that tank, or finding out whether, they all tell us, well, you can't use that tank because the insurance company won't cover you if you get a new dealer. Should we start looking into maybe seeing what it would cost us to purchase that tank, and what it would cost us to whatever we have to do to have somebody, so we can have multi people come in and fill the tank if we wanted to?
I think it's reasonable to find out what we could purchase it for. That's not going to do any harm at all.
I'll put that on my list of things to do if you people give me the okay.
Now, in the alternative, I've done it both ways, and I think I've spent a bit more time by owning the tank. I found it oftentimes to be easier to negotiate a contract that was based on a wholesale index plus cost, so that no matter who's providing it, you know what the wholesale, the New England wholesale rate is, and you're paying a fixed cents per gallon above that.
I think that's what we're
That's what we
doing.
have now.
We're doing that now.
And if you're doing that, that might be, if you get competition on that, that's gonna guarantee you your best rate.
What do you mean if we get competition?
Well, because whoever owns that tank, there's still gonna be a multi-year agreement. Once that's complete, they actually have a problem. They don't wanna take that tank out. So essentially what they do is to transfer it to the new provider, because they don't wanna go through the time, trouble, and expense of removing it.
Yeah.
So it's not our tank, it's not the county tank, but it's gonna be the same tank regardless of who fills it. So with any multi-year agreement, as long as you're getting a good agreement on your cost over now what nobody controls, of course, is what the market fluctuation will be. But I don't think owning the tank is going to, it could create problems, because you only need to paint that
Well,
thing
that's
once
a good point,
for it
Howard.
to be,
We
for it to be an
need to
outrageous
maintain
expense.
it, yeah, yeah.
It's a good point.
Of course, ultimately, the best way for us to save money on propane is gonna be by using less of it. I
Yeah.
mean, concentrating on the use factor, and that's something that I know Bob is working closely on, to see, as the cost of propane goes up, we can run the wood pellet boilers further and further into the season and save money. And so each year, we have to keep weighing the cost of propane for hot water, domestic hot water production, as opposed to the wood pellets. And this year, with propane being up, we could be running the wood pellets right through the summer.
Mm-hmm.
When is a 3-year contract or 2-year contract up on or a 1-year contract, I forget now, for the wood pellets?
I think
When-
that's December, I think that's a calendar year. So I think
So
that's,
at what point should we begin thinking about, I'm told there's gonna be 3 new people in the wood pellet market or there is right now. So we might get some competition on the bid. When should we start thinking about going out for a bid?
we need to start in September for that, because we need to be ready for a budget submission to you for
Yeah.
December 1st.
Yeah.
So we need September and October, and I like to allow a 1-month
Yeah.
cushion. So hopefully there'll be some competition, because right now, our pellets are actually being shipped out of
They come from
Greenfield, Mass.
Jaffrey, and the trucking company hauls them from
Greenfield. I think.
Greenfield, but they're made in Jaffrey.
And I have to believe that it has to be some North Country place. I'm hoping there are gonna be North Country providers that if we can cut the shipping costs down, that's a considerable cost in the whole process.
Mhm.
So if we get somebody closer by, and wouldn't it be wonderful if we could find somebody in Carroll County, that would be the perfect solution.
Howie, what about, thinking outside the box for a second, how about another silo? So when the truck comes, we're not required to have a short body come in, we can put in a trailer truck and put in more.
Well, we can
pellets.
take a trailer truck now. Our problem with the existing silo is to take a full trailer truck, there's only a surplus of 2 ton.
Right.
Which means timing, it gets to be really
Critical.
critical, and it would have been nice to have a 25% reserve rather than essentially it's a 2-day reserve, depending on the time of year,
Yeah.
and you have a 3-day weekend, you have storms, you can get caught short, and which for us means having a smaller delivery, but adding a delivery fee to it, so the cost goes up. A second silo, which wouldn't have to be nearly as big, would be something we should consider, just so that we can buy when it's convenient. And if we ever expanded the use,
Howie, why did I think that somewhere I read that the delivery truck was a critical component to our quote?
it is, if we buy full truckloads, we essentially, the price that's quoted is for full truckloads. We pay a penalty if we buy anything less than the 30 ton at a time.
So we can back semi-trailer truck in there if we had to.
We can.
It isn't that we can't, for some reason we don't want to. I mean, ours are coming on a short truck.
Well, it's,
No?
It almost fills a
I think
silo.
most of the time that Bob orders, it's a big semi
I
truck.
think it's a live bottom semi.
Yeah. He'll be out there
Is it,
unloading
is
for
it
3
a
hours.
trailer or is it a short body?
It's one of those, it looks like a
Trailer.
modified milk truck almost, but it's a whole trailer. It's round and everything
It's a
else.
trailer truck.
Yeah. Yeah, It's a whole deal that
Somewhere, I
I think.
remember the discussion that it had to be a small truck.
No, now, the other option we have to the silo would be storing additional pellets and then having to figure out how to blow or get them into the silo.
Right.
Yeah,
And so having a reserve supply in some other kind of container might be an option. What I don't know is mechanically, how do we move by conveyor or suction? Because I think right now the truck is loading the silo with its own equipment.
Yeah,
And
blowing it in.
we'd have to figure out how to get it into the silo.
You
Yeah.
mean transferring it from the silo, the one silo to the other and
the
then
other.
into the
yeah.
furnace? We can get it from the first silo in the furnace, no problem, but we gotta get it from, if we have an auxiliary silo, we gotta get it from there into the, either into the burner directly, or we have to get it into the other silo.
Exactly. And the feed system into the burner is fairly sophisticated, so I have to believe whatever we did would have to be easy to try to get it into the silo,
Right.
whether that's by a live track or by suction.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Howard?
That's all I have for
Any
you.
questions, Howard?
Yes. I see here that one commission signed as a customer and one as a company, so they check that.
Oh, okay, we'll just have.
Make
the-
adjustments.
The company will make the change on that.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
Howard.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Where's Jason this morning?
I think they revised it, and
What's that?
I think Cheryl sent out a new one and revised, and he's a little bit further on the list.
You got a new one? What do you-
Yeah,
what you got scheduled for 9 o'clock?
Don't, is there a?
Will?
is there a
Will,
agenda?
okay, I got the old one.
I got
All
a
right,
copy
Will.
if you'd like of
I
the new
got
one
it
right
here.
here.
I got it here. Yeah.
That was the one that's on my desk.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
got one. Yeah, I did. I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Just have a couple quick things to go over. Good morning. Water meters were read yesterday for the quarterly readings. We're going to be working on a RFP for a backflow preventer. It's a device we've talked about several times for this building.
Are you working with Jerry on the backflow?
I will be. I mean,
Okay.
basically, his role basically will be, it's coming out of his budget. Or they were supposed to put money in there, so I gotta double check on all that, where the budgeting
Yep.
portion of it is. But other than
Okay.
that, we'll be doing that. And of course, we'll line up with him, times and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Wood processing has been done when we can. It's picking up because we're getting nicer weather, so they've been out.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
go ahead.
Does Will want us to ask questions as he's going down the
Yes, go
bullet
ahead.
points, or do we just want to skip
Yeah.
through and then come back to it?
Let's ask questions as we go along.
Will, on the water meters, do we have a regulation on if you have an apartment house, you have to have 2 meters, or if you,
I don't think so. I think that it's, I would have to double check, so I'm not giving you 100% accurate option here, but I believe that it's, if there's just one, let's say there's an apartment, the landlord's gonna pay, if they're gonna have to, they're paying the bill probably. They're not doing it to the
Splitting it up.
customers, right, so they're gonna absorb the whole thing. So I'm not sure that there's any regulation about it. I can check into it though, and get back to you.
would it be beneficial if we had one? Regulation, I mean, is there anything in the state that says you have to, or
I don't know.
have a meter for each apartment, or?
I'm not sure.
Why,
I don't
why
think
would
so.
we want to do that? That means sending out 2 bills
Yep. Well,
where the landlord would be responsible for it? And let him handle how he charges?
I guess we don't, if the landlord's responsible for it and agrees to it, I guess we don't have a problem.
Okay,
Then it's their job to collect from the renter.
all right,
Okay.
okay.
Backflow valve, we're working on the processing wood when we can, that's where Will was.
Okay,
So, processing wood, we're also bagging as much as possible. We got 8 inmates out today, I think, so we've expanded the crew a little bit, trying to keep the numbers up as long as the jail can provide them to us.
How many bags do you estimate you have?
We're somewhere between 4,000 to 4,500 right now, which is a little bit lower than I'd like to be, but we've had a lot colder winter than expected too, so
4,000 to what?
to 4,500. We're right in that ballpark figure, I believe.
That's all that's there in all of those bags that you have in that building?
Yes, takes a lot of room to
I guess it does.
do that. Yesterday I worked on the RFP for the poles for the pole barn. Hopefully that's going to be going out today. I included 2 different prices in there like you requested with the poles and without the poles in case we're able to find them somewhere else. So we're working on that.
what size poles are you looking for?
The quote that I was looking for was 6-inch diameter poles. That's what the,
Willie, did we skip over processing wood? We talked about bagging it. You get some you don't have wood in, or you don't have wood out, or?
oh, no, we got
Raw
plenty of
wood?
wood out there that needs to be processed, and we're processing it every day that we can.
Okay.
We're kind of, right now it's very muddy out there, and the road to go out to the woodlot, as you know, is lower than the hay fields. And so in the afternoon, it gets a little bit tougher sometimes, late afternoon, to be traveling that. So tend to be first thing in the morning, throughout the morning while it's a little bit stiffer. It's easier to get in and out of there than it is the afternoon. So we have to play each afternoon accordingly to make sure we're not getting stuck and ruining equipment out there.
What was I gonna say? Well, go ahead, I'll think of it.
Okay. We're working on advertising of the old wood processor. That has kind of been at a standstill just because most times when you advertise that type of thing, the people that want to place a bid on it want to be able to come out and look at it and see how it operates and such. And being the cold weather and full of snow, that's kind of prevented us. But I think it's getting to the time of the year now where we can have that out and do that. So.
Hey, Willie, Will, why don't, while we're at it, we got I think an old mower conditioner out there that we're not using. Let's get rid of some of this stuff and get the delegation off our back.
Yes.
And get rid of those 2 trucks?
Yes.
But see what we can do. Maybe we can give the trucks to the sheriff to advertise on Craigslist, because he does an excellent job in getting more money than anybody else. But let's move the stuff and get it out.
That's the plan that I've been trying to work on, and I'll continue to do that. The other 2 quick things is on every other Wednesday, tonight being one of those Wednesdays, there is a 4-H blacksmith club.
Great.
And they are using the shop. They have probably about 10 kids, I believe. They're doing 2, they broke them up into 2 different things, so from like 4 to 5 is the first group, and then 5 to 6 is the second group. I think last week, 2 weeks ago, they had basically a 1-to-1 ratio. They got a 4-H leader who was a blacksmith that's doing different projects and teaching these kids about blacksmithing. I've allowed him to store equipment in the shop in a corner, and then we pull out one of our vehicles, and he uses one of the bays to do the teaching for the kids, and it seems to, so far, like I said, this will be their second meeting, seems to be a very positive thing, and the kids are enjoying it.
That's great. Go ahead.
I'm sure it is, Will. You missed because of your situation, you missed the last cooperative extension meeting, but one of the things, I was caught blindsided when Klaus announced that they were having the blacksmith shop over here. And they pawned it off on you while Will was in charge. I'd just like to ask, and there's no damage, no fault, but when you have something like this, will you let us know ahead of time so that we don't get blindsided?
Sure.
I have absolutely no objection to you doing it. I would just like to know ahead of time.
And if I didn't, I apologize. I thought several months ago before it was gonna get started, that I, probably back in January, December timeframe, that I mentioned it at one of the meetings, and I said it would be happening in the future, and I'm sorry if I.
You're only
didn't do that.
32, I'm a lot older than that, my memory's going, so if you could, maybe the week before they come in, let us know, as a refresher for
Okay.
Commissioner.
And keep us up to date on the livestock club.
Sure, I don't know what's gonna happen with that right now, but I will keep you up to date.
Okay.
To refresh your memory and keep it vivid is the next thing, Commissioner, next Wednesday, so we're a week out. The Weights and Measures, Bureau of Weights and Measures will be coming and using our shop again to, for local residents that have scales that need to be
I've got one.
done. They'll be here from 1 to 4, and so that's been advertised in several different market bulletins that they do and such. So in the past few years, they've been, I think this is at least maybe third or fourth year they've been doing it.
I think I went the first year, and that would had to have been about 5 years ago, 4 years ago,
It was-
right after you started.
Yeah, it was probably at least 4 years ago or so. So this is the fourth or fifth one. And it's been very popular. There's been a lot of regulars from our county that sell stuff that come and get their scales done, so.
It really is interesting, I mean, to go and see what they go through to fine tune the scales and make sure that you're not weighing your thumb. And the Department of Agriculture does an excellent job with it.
Just want to let you know that was coming up. And that's all I have. If there's any questions from the commissioners?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
The old food processor, do you know if there's anything worth?
I'm not 100% sure on I've gotten the idea of a price from the dealer. Has told me that we bought it from. Has told me what it should be worth.
$200 or?
Hopefully quite a bit more than that.
Okay, because if you said you're going to advertise it, thinking if the advertising cost is even more than it is worth the food processor.
And actually, we're kind of unique in the agricultural community. We have at least 3 to 4 outlets that I can advertise in that won't
okay.
cost us anything.
Oh, okay. that's okay.
Because I agree, it takes away from your profit if you're having to pay for the advertisements.
Will, do you get the market bulletin?
Yes.
Did you see where they got the, what is it, the ash borer
Yes, I just read that yesterday.
identified
Canterbury,
in Canterbury?
yes.
Not going to have any effect on your wood?
I don't know.
Don't know yet.
I hope not, but I don't know.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, my memory's coming back. On wood processing, I made the comment about perhaps we need a wood splitter to make the bigger logs that are coming through and getting 4 or 5 in a bag and 3 or 4 in a bag, and you have to split the smaller ones. Some of the people here in the delegation mentioned a 6 or 8-way splitter. Have you looked into one of those, or is there one available that we can readily put on and off of our processor? And if we can, what's the cost?
Yes, we have an 8-way splitter that we've used, but it doesn't, as a matter of fact, I was just talking about this morning. I wanted to try to contact the dealer and see what we could do, because we've used it a couple times, but it shreds and makes more waste than it's worth. So I'm wondering how the 6-way would work out. So I'm wondering if we could try to work out a deal to get rid of it, because we only tried it a couple times, and it just makes so many shreds that you're wasting more wood than it's worth.
I've got a 4-way splitter, and it's the same thing. It just doesn't work right. You're gonna have, if you had the consistent size wood going through it, it'd probably be okay, but because you're going all different sizes, it doesn't.
Our 4-way
Doesn't
works.
really work.
Our 4-way works good on our machine. It's just that, and they have these slide in and out. They're very heavy and they're a very big thing. The whole thing comes out and the whole thing goes in. And we bought the 8-way with it for the campfire wood program, but it's just not. There's so many pieces coming through there that it shreds a lot of it, and it's not. We found it not to be helpful. We found it's easier to just have the inmates split it by hand in the barn, the pieces that need to be done. But I haven't evaluated the 6-way yet, so that was kind of the next idea to evaluate.
Okay.
Well,
Anything else?
I'm concerned with the liability out there, the boys in the citrus outfits with the malls, swinging them around in there. At some point, somebody's gonna get hurt. Not your fault, but we ought to be looking at a better way. I think they could also do it much faster with a multi-head log splitter.
Right.
The old splitter, we still have that?
Yes, the 3-point hitch one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you rig something up on that would split it, rather than using mauls?
You probably could, but then you're running
And you get a chance
diesel
to cut
through the
off
tractor.
fingers.
You're running a tractor too, that's diesel. It's
Yeah.
probably more efficient to have the inmates split up the view by hand.
I guess I'm just looking at dealing with a safety issue,
Right.
rather than swinging a maul, using a wood splitter off the tractor. Anyway. Commissioner Babson's point is well taken. See what we can do to reduce the safety, not reduce it, but increase the safety.
Increase the safety, we
Yeah.
don't want to reduce it.
Yep. Okay, anything else?
I don't have anything, if there's
Okay.
anything else. Vicki?
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good day.
Thank you, Will.
Sheriff,
You want to do the sheriff first?
what's that?
You want to do the sheriff first? You can.
Sheriff's first, okay, you're on first, come on up. I'm sorry.
I tried. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I will be brief because we're running a little bit behind today. And I just first of all wanted to have the policy for you, the draft of the policy for the return to work that we had discussed last week.
Mhm.
Pass those down, please, thank you. And
This has been reviewed or
Yeah.
looked at from other counties as well? I mean, as far as what they have for
as far
policy?
not in comparison to other counties, but
Okay.
as far as what will fit Carroll County. So I would give that to you to review, and maybe you can make a motion next week and approve it.
Yep.
And just an update, we had Chronos training yesterday, Chronos training and retraining. We had a very good turnout, and we are moving forward with that. We had a facility administrators meeting last week, and we talked about various items, and that went very well. And we have an IT meeting scheduled for April 14th. A notification has gone out for that. So we're pretty much on track. And now that the budget, the delegation budget is
Yeah.
done, we can move forward with
Yeah.
some other trainings and things that we had planned for this upcoming year.
Okay. Commissioner Babson?
Yes, thank you. When was the Cronus training open to everybody? Or did you invite everybody?
I
that-
invited, and in the invite, I asked that if there was anyone else that they wanted to bring that was a user, to please bring them.
And
Everybody, go ahead.
Did everybody, all the departments show up?
No.
Would you mind telling us which one didn't, or which two didn't, or three?
I had sent you an email last night, and I'm not sure if you all
I didn't
got
get
it, but I know you're having a hard time with your emails, but the business office was not in attendance, the sheriff's department wasn't here. I think pretty much everybody else was here.
The sheriff and the business office?
Yeah. And the county attorney's office, I'm sorry,
And the
also.
county attorney.
Three
Three
departments.
departments weren't. in
So, which one showed up?
attendance. Well, corrections was here, the farm was here, and the nursing home had a very good attendance, because there's a lot of users there and a lot of department heads there that need to be very aware of where we are at now, so.
The other one was the monthly meeting of department heads.
Yes.
Did everybody get invited to that?
Yes, and
And what
It
was
was
the
a-
attendance record
it
there?
was a little bit of a shorter notice, even though we said that they would be on the fourth Thursday of every month. We had changed the time to accommodate everybody's needs, so I'm not sure that the notice was enough for everybody, so I I did have some attendance, and I will make sure that they all have information as to what we talked about, be it that we talked about the safety meetings, performance appraisal process, Kronos, the IT committee, website, harassment training, and when the next meeting would be. So I will make sure they all get notification about what was discussed at the meeting and give them plenty of advance notice for the next meeting.
I'm not willing to settle for that. We've had, since you've been here in a year, one of the requests was to meet every month, or pretty close to it. You've sent out invites to these meetings, and we still have people not showing up, department heads. I would like to know who didn't come to the last meeting. And I don't mind if you put it on the tape, because these people, they're our employees, and if they're elected officials, we can tell their employees to come. We don't want to have to do that, but there's obviously people that aren't trying to work together here.
I'll send you that.
Okay?
You have a
I'll
question?
send you that.
What do you mean with send it? Are you
I'll send you,
emailing?
yeah, I'll email you who was in attendance.
Okay?
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. You have more?
Yeah, I get one more thing. You know, we came here, starting this year, trying to get this complex to work together. And we have an HR person who's trying to do that, and on our behalf, and to have people just snub their nose and not show up. It isn't as if she's calling them for Thursday afternoon and it's Wednesday morning. Everybody knows it's the last week of the month. And it's about time these people begin showing up, or we do something about it.
Okay.
Can
Do you keep minutes of those meetings? Okay. Go ahead,
I
Commissioner.
have a question? Yes, it bothers me a little bit about Kronos. I mean, we are busy for so many years to try to get it running. Can we not make it mandatory? I think the people need to show up. It is very important, Kronos.
Yes, I agree.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Sheriff, come up here and sit in the hot seat, because you didn't have anybody here for attendance for
Cronus?
Kronos.
Perhaps he's an expert.
We'd like to have some really good reasons.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay.
So we
Good
want
morning.
to start on the Kronos?
Want to just a minute?
Sure, he started on Kronos.
Thank you. Our operator, Teresa Shackford, who is the administrator for Kronos for us, is on vacation. That was
Yeah.
sent to
I
Mr.
hope
Coop.
when she sends out a notice that,
But,
she also puts in there that you have somebody there.
Yep.
If the person can't be there, then somebody else
Yep.
in the department
no, then our
needs to be there.
secondary person was Lieutenant Santuccio. He had a item at home, or in court, actually, that he had to go to in the afternoon, so he was unable to attend. And at that point, it slipped my mind as far as yesterday was the actual date for that, so
Okay.
we were at the administrative meeting.
It's, I guess it's acceptable, but just barely.
Yep.
Go
No,
ahead.
I had.
We understand. There are things that do come up.
And I think you're, as far as the complex working together, I think it is a work in progress, and it is far better than it used to be, so it's going that way.
You need to fill us in on the grant situation.
Yep.
On all the grants that you received, or you've requested.
The Homeland Security Grant, which is the big one, the $900,000 one.
Yep.
We found out that we are receiving no funding for that this year. The grant will reopen, I believe, in a few months. We were kind of given that notice, so we'll reapply for that. And the application that we did do was accepted and passed the bar as far as the potential of receiving money. We were told that the monies ran out by the time it got to us. We were told we were third of 6. So, unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. So we'll reapply and maybe make some changes as far as breaking it down to stages with dollar amounts on those stages.
That's number one. Number two, did we still, wait a minute, did we still have the grant for sobriety testing on Route 16, or did you not take that one?
The application on that was, they threw in another step that we were unaware of as far as a prior sheet to fill out.
Yep.
So we did not get that this year either.
So you turned it down or didn't get it?
Right, didn't get it, right.
Okay.
Right.
So actually you have no grants?
No, we do have the emergency management grant, which is for the, what did we get? That we are applying for the software for dispatch. And this will enable us to be the hub center for the information for Carroll County law enforcement. That, I guess, the next step for that will be go to the executive council for approval, because it is above $10,000.
Okay.
And we are applying for an emergency management grant for a generator for the tower in Idlewise, as that it's on its last leg. So it would be for the generator and installation of it. I believe that's about a $7,000 total, so that's a half grant. And that was in the budget also. And on the non-passing or not getting any money for the Homeland Security grant, we will be applying for emergency management grant for a half grant for the change of our frequencies on the radios to a north-south split. This will enable 2 police departments to talk at the same time, as long as one's in the north and one's in the south.
I'm surprised we don't have that already.
No, when it was changed over from the old system into the digital system, that went away.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right. So right now, 2 police departments cannot talk at the same time. The north cannot hear the south talking sometimes, so when they jump on the radio, they're squelching out the other department, they don't know it. So this will alleviate that issue. It was part of that first phase on that Homeland
Is
Security.
that something that
grant.
goes on a tower?
No, it's, well, yes, part of it will be repeater systems, changing of the towers when they'll connect with each other. And that area only communicating with those towers. So, most likely it'll be somewhere near Tamarack. The split usually is north-south. That's about a $4,000 price tag, and that'll be a half grant.
Got it in your budget?
Yes.
You got a question? No?
I got a bunch.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, the half grant. Does that mean we put up the other half?
Yes.
Or does that mean they're only gonna give us half as much as they advertise?
No, we put up the other half, and that's,
So basically, it's a matching grant.
it's a matching grant.
Okay. The dog. Is that a grant or not a grant?
K-9 was not a funding grant. It was, like I
Grant
said,
for the dog.
it was a grant to receive the dog. The dog being still owned by the organization in Portsmouth.
So where do the government strings come,
The
Sheriff, that
funding-
says that you have to account for, or give the handler a half an hour?
A day.
That's a federal law, to give a compensation. It doesn't say an amount or anything. It's a compensation
The
that's.
federal law speaks of dogs.
Yep,
Really?
canine handlers,
Really?
yes.
Wow. Okay, because people have asked me if it wasn't a grant, why the strings here? Well, that answers the question.
Yeah.
So we get a grant for the dog. Where's the feds come in on this requirement?
Because it's a canine handler, it's a canine dog, police dog. And the federal law covers that under, I'm guessing, the Labor Act.
So they don't give any funding, but they have a law that says you have to have.
You have to have a
an hour a day.
no, it says a compensation. What that compensation is between me, the sheriff, and the canine handler. It is in our contract, the union contract, of that being $4.25 basically a day
Mhm.
for 7 days a week. Other departments compensate with time off, as far as they may work a 7.5 or 7-hour day,
Mhm.
given an hour to take care of the dog. In other departments, overwhelmingly pay for the canine handler. So that's an agreement between the department head and the handler himself.
Okay, good.
Next question. This north-south thing, with all the radios, it seems in my 20 years here, every delegation meeting is another set of communication equipment. Why, if the north-south doesn't work, can't your deputies use their cell phone? Why is the radio so critical if we now all have cell phones, or all you guys have cell
Well,
phones?
it's instant communication, for one. Cell phone, you may be in an area where you have a cell signal or may not. The radio is instant communication, and plus if it is something that needs to be broadcast, other agencies can hear it as it's going over the radio. So they may be able to stop that way if needed.
Okay, last question. We didn't get the Homeland Security, we were third out of 6. I would think Homeland Security would be concerned with rural areas like ours that don't have the ability to communicate as well as, say, Hillsborough or Stratford County. Why are we down the list? Why aren't places that don't have the capabilities the ones getting the money?
That's a very good question. The North has always been the stepchild of the state. So I guess Belknap got it a few years ago. Cheshire got it before that. I believe Rockingham is the one that's getting the majority of it this year, because they're updating their communication center also.
Who makes that decision?
17 people. It's
All
a
feds
committee.
or
No,
Rockingham?
it's a committee from all over the state. There actually was a sheriff on it, and just members of different
Who
organizations.
puts that committee together?
That I'm not sure. I believe the state, I believe. I'm not sure if it's Department of Safety or, because Homeland Security is in the Department of Safety building, so I imagine they have something to do with it.
Okay.
But we did pass the bar as far as getting money, but just wasn't money available. Later, we were told there was only $400,000 in the law enforcement portion. So whether or not, once that $400,000 went, shut us out, that's what I'm assuming. Even though we did go in with the fire end of it to try and get that large amount of money.
Okay. Anything else that you have?
I have a question.
You still have a
Further question on that.
Go ahead.
On that Homeland Security that we were just discussing, Mr. Sheriff, what are the government strings attached to it?
As I believe, none. That's our radio system, it's our towers, it's our equipment still. I emailed out the grant to different delegate members, made it available. No one got back to me saying that they saw any ties to any agency with the federal government. That they could.
So we don't have to paint
come
it
and take
navy
them up.
gray every 6 months
No,
or
no.
anything else?
Because
Okay.
basically, it's using the equipment we have installed at this point, and then it's just enhancing that equipment.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Sharon.
Our visitor is here.
At this time, you want to introduce our guest this morning?
Sure, this is the Honorable Justice Tina Nato.
Hi, good
She's the
morning.
Chief
Morning.
Justice of the Superior Court System.
Good to see
So
you.
she's the boss of
Morning.
all of the Superior Court judges.
I try to be anyway. Hi, good to
Meet
see
you
you.
again.
Commissioner
Glad you
Sorensen.
could come.
See you. Yes, thanks for having me.
Commissioner Babson,
Good morning, how are
and
you?
Commissioner Kenney.
Hi, good to talk to you. Well, I might just, I have a brief PowerPoint, it won't take too long, and I was gonna set up my projector if that's
Okay.
okay. And I also have handouts in case I can't make it work or anything, and to
Okay.
leave with you anyway. So it'll just take a second.
Can you talk while you're putting that up?
Can I talk?
Talk amongst yourselves.
Sure. I don't know if can I do two things at once? Let me just see if this cord goes. How long is it? I might have to move it. Oh no, that'll work.
Yeah, great. I figure what you're doing with this, because
I do.
you guys technically savvy? Just in case we need you? No, they don't.
No? Okay, no, I'm good. I am good here.
Is that going to be long enough?
Yeah,
Yep.
I
have
an
Just don't try to walk by, is all.
There's an extra page right over here.
Okay.
Because you're about to have native PowerPoint also.
No, it doesn't. The battery's all charged up.
Okay, very good.
I am good to go. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I could talk and do this at the same time.
I think this is the second time you've visited this county since I've been a county commissioner anyway.
Is it?
I'm not sure you were Chief Justice at the time.
No,
I'm not
I've only
sure.
been Chief Justice for 3 years.
Okay.
So it was probably before
We
that.
very much appreciate people coming up from.
Oh,
Congress.
good, good, to visit you out here. Yeah. See, they have it color-coded, so that works.
Is it cold?
It's not too bad. I mean, geez, what we've been through. This seems mild. It's supposed to be 40 or so today. Okay. Oh, I guess I should do this. And then. How about that? So I'll give you a little intro about what I wanted to come talk to you about. And it's really, there's nothing you need to do right now. It's really just to make sure all the counties are in the loop and everybody who has something to do with criminal justice understands what the court's trying to do. So I have been meeting with all of the prosecutors in the state, all of the managing attorneys for public defender. I've also been meeting with the chiefs of police, and I'll be meeting with the jail superintendents and sheriffs, everybody that has something to do with how we manage our cases in the felony justice system. So basically, the bottom line is that right now, in the way our court system is set up, we have the circuit court and the superior court. And the superior court, where I sit, is the court that has jurisdiction over all felonies and is the court that can resolve them, take the plea, have the trial, those kinds of things. The way we operate now is when a police department charges somebody with a felony, they file that complaint in circuit court, and then the circuit court police prosecutors will handle the arraignment where the person gets notified of the charges, and then there will be a bail hearing in circuit court, and then a probable cause hearing in circuit court, and then it gets sent to the superior court, which is called bound over. So that process takes anywhere from 2 to 4 months. Then once it gets to the superior court, the county attorneys know about it, and because they get the file from the police, and then they indict the felony in front of the grand jury, which is yet another finding of probable cause, and we sort of duplicate a lot of the process. Then we have another arraignment in superior court, another bail hearing,
And then by the time there's a judge who has jurisdiction to resolve the case, lots of time has gone by. If somebody is waiting for trial incarcerated, that's taking up jail space and bed space. If they're out on bail, guess what? They're committing more offenses because they haven't had their sanction yet for their first one. So,
And it has to fit into his schedule.
right.
Or her
So,
schedule.
exactly. So let me see if I can find my PowerPoint. Where is it? Huh. Oh, there it is. So far, so good. And my battery looks full. So, what I am working on with a group of attorneys is a felony case flow. I don't have my glasses on. Can you see? Oh, slideshow. There it is. And then from beginning. Okay, great. Wow. All right, so what I'm trying to do is to design a system that makes more sense for everybody that's in the criminal justice system, for the sheriffs who are transporting people, for police especially who are waiting in court 2 times for an arraignment, 2 times for a bail hearing, probable cause hearings, those kinds of things. So what I say to everybody when I go around and talk about this is that each of us in the criminal justice system could do something in our own place, including the court, that made it better for us, but then how would that affect everybody else? So we really have to look at the whole picture. There may be an increase in need here and a decrease in need there, but what are we doing as an entire system that makes the most sense for taxpayers who are paying state and county taxes? So this is our, what is case flow management? That's what I call this. Case flow management is really the active supervision of a case from the minute it's filed until the minute it's finished. And if you're paying attention to case flow management, judges really have to be involved instead of just saying, here's a case on my docket, I'll take it as it comes, the parties want a continuance, I'll give them a continuance without really looking at the reasons why. And when you have a judge that's actively involved, and when you have a prosecutor and defense attorney who are paying attention to, let's get this case solved sooner rather than later, because it's better for the victims, it's better for the jail, it's better for police. They have done studies to show that the sooner you impose a sanction on a defendant, the more likely you are to reduce the likelihood that they'll reoffend. So if you've got a case and you know how it's going to resolve, and you resolve it, 2 months after arrest versus a year after arrest, you're going to have better chances at reducing that offender's likelihood of reoffending if you do it sooner. So that's another part of the puzzle. It eliminates unnecessary delay, and as I said, it places the defendant under proper level of supervision and surveillance early. So if we think a defendant needs intensive probation or needs a jail sanction and then probation, we can figure that out early. And it saves jail bed space. So I talked about that, lower recidivism. Finality to victims early in the process. So if we're managing the cases the way we should, we get victims' resolution sooner. So they don't have to keep coming to court and waiting for the next series of events and next hearings. And ensures prompt payment. So these are our goals, basically. We know that across the country, in every state, it doesn't matter, 95 to 98% of all felony cases are resolved short of trial. That means eventually the defendant agrees to accept responsibility and enter a plea of guilty. The problem is, if it happens 10 days before trial, that could be up to 8 or 9 months after arrest, and then you've wasted that trial date, and the court can't fill it in with anything else. And in between that time, you've had several hearings where police and witnesses have showed up to try to get the case toward resolution. So we want to shorten that window. And what I say to people is it's not just quick justice, we want better outcomes. And the sooner you resolve a case, because the witnesses' memories are fresh, the defendant is more likely to be accountable and feel contrition, the more likely you are to solve the cases. So it does promote predictability for everybody, and again, it reduces pretrial detention. So here are some of the standards. These are the national standards. And that's just what we use to sort of judge ourselves. They're hard to compare because every state's a little bit different, but generally, the standard is 75% of all felony cases should be completed within 90 days of filing. So that's 90 days, that's 3 months. And 90% of them should be done with 180 days of filing. This last one, 98%, that's a year later. That includes homicides and complicated cases. So my target is this 90% of felony cases within 180 days of filing. Here's New Hampshire. Right now, our average is 233 days from filing in Superior Court. That's the average statewide number of days it takes from filing to resolution. The high for 2013 was 268 days from filing, and the low was 176 days from filing. But here's the rub. Those national figures are from initial filing to disposition, 180 days. Our 233 days doesn't even include the 45 to 90 days that we use up in circuit court where no judge can resolve the case. So, you know, you add that makes this average close to 300 days when it should be 180 days. So that's what prompted me to take a look at what can we do to make things better. So here are the elements of the plan. The biggest piece of it is, let's get rid of that whole circuit court process. Just cut it all out. Let's file felonies first in Superior Court. And I think, you know, when you hear that, you sort of say, okay, right. Why do we do something for 2 to 4 months that doesn't move the case along? It doesn't bring victims closure. It doesn't get defendants held accountable for 2 to 4 months. It's just time. So that's one part of the plan. I'm not going to go over all of these with you because some just sort of are like inside baseball rules, changing the rules a bit to make people pay attention to the cases sooner. But felonies filed first in Superior Court is the biggest one that I think affects the most stakeholders. Dispositional conference practice, that's a bit of inside baseball too, but it's designed to make the judges pay more attention to the case and to get involved earlier and give more feedback to the lawyers about what they think should happen with the case. The other, the early case resolution is something I'll talk about because that works hand in hand with felonies filed first. So this is the current process here, as I explained. The arraignment starts in circuit court. 10 to 30 days later, you have a probable cause hearing in circuit court. 10 to 14 days after that, it's actually bound over to Superior Court. And then 30 to 90 days after bound over, it's indicted. So that's the indictment. The arraignment in Superior Court is what starts involving a judge who can solve the case. So as you can see, if you go back, that's a lot of days of not being able to resolve the case. And then once the person's arraigned in Superior Court, then they have the dispositional conference, which is now operating in every county. It didn't used to be happening anywhere, and now it's happening in every county. And that means a judge gets involved. The prosecution is required to provide a written offer before this conference. The defense is required to respond to it. So a judge can actually say, I have some sense of what your case is about. Maybe we could resolve it here. And we have been finding that in the counties where the judges are really involved and the prosecution and defense are responsive, and that's happening. Carroll County is responsive. I've done some of their dispositional conferences. We are actually either taking or scheduling 50% of the cases for a plea instead of a trial. So if you start early, you can start weeding out the ones that we all know can get resolved. Then after if they can't get resolved, then we give them a final pretrial and trial date, and that's what this looks like. So the new process, as I said, would eliminate circuit court process for felonies and require them to be filed first in Superior Court. It saves 2 to 3 months of time. And here's the big piece that I think will affect you, and let me explain to you what happened in Stratford County so you can have some sense. This process will probably require vertical prosecution, and what that means is that the county attorney's office takes charge of the case as soon as the police file the complaint. So in some places that's happening, but in other places the police officers and the police departments handle their cases until the county attorney indicts. So it would require the county attorney to get involved sooner. But the reason that makes a whole lot of sense is because it will result in resolution of maybe 40 to 50% of the cases very early on. And I'll give you an example. In Stratford County, they started vertical prosecution, and they did that because they wanted to try out the early case resolution program that I told you I would talk about. And what early case resolution is, you know, we could sit in this room, Attorney Gordon, and it's Jesse Friedman here, he's not here. Oh, there he is back here. And I, the three of us could sit in a court, around a table with a stack of cases that were arrested 10 days before, and 40% of them, we would be able to agree on what the resolution should be, because they're check cases, they're a case with a hand-to-hand drug buy, they're a case with a lock-solid confession. We all know, because of our experience, this case is not going to go to trial because there are no defenses, and it's a strong case. So what's a reasonable sentence that will likely help reduce the defendant's recidivism and get the victim, if there is a victim, the restitution, those kinds of things? We could figure that out 10 to 20 days after arrest for 40% of the cases. So in Stratford County, they started an early case resolution program. It's the same defense attorney, same prosecutor, and they, before the case ever gets to Superior Court, it happens right after the circuit court process, they sit down and they go through them. Okay, these cases we can agree on, let's resolve it. They call the Superior Court and they say, we have 5 early case resolution cases. The defendant's going to waive indictment, which means you don't have to convene the grand jury for that defendant. The police don't have to come and testify about it. The defendant agrees the case is strong, so why bother going to the grand jury? And the Superior Court's commitment is, if you tell me it's an early case resolution, we'll take the plea that week. Usually we have to schedule 30 to 45 days out because that's just how our scheduling goes. You have to churn them out and we have such a high caseload. But in Stratford County, after 2 years of early case resolution, they resolved 40% of their cases within 40 days of first filing. So that was huge. But what they also had to do, and this is the part that's hard for delegations and counties, but their county tried it and it really worked, was they had to use vertical prosecution. So in the beginning, they had to add 2 county attorneys to the county attorney's office. And because they had a lot more work, they were taking over the work for the police departments. The police departments bought in because the chiefs were saving a ton of overtime. The police were on the streets doing their job instead of sitting in court waiting for the next hearing to happen. So the police had some buy-in on this early case resolution, and they would be at the table from time to time if they wanted to weigh in on a plea. So what Stratford County did was they hired 2 new prosecutors. They implemented early case resolution and vertical prosecution. And then in the next budget cycle, times were tough and they lost those positions. They found, though, they didn't need to refill them because early case resolution was cleaning up the cases early on that didn't need to be churning through the system. And so, you got that first hump where you're going to have extra help, and you're saving the police money and you're saving jail space money, but you've got that hump. So the county attorneys need that extra help. But by the time they got through a couple of years of it, they were seeing that early case resolution was making it so they didn't have to keep on with those 2 new positions. So I've probably covered half my slides here, but I have to admit this is the first time doing one of these. So second time, but first time with a computer. So the effects of filing felonies first in Superior Court is for obviously saving money at the jail, but you will need that upfront county attorney help in the beginning. This is just Grafton numbers because I went to them first. Now, obviously, the 138 total for 23 inmates waiting for 2 months, you can't, it's not necessarily a dollar for dollar match because unless you close a wing, you still have to keep the lights on and they have your officers there. But this shows you what cost avoidance you would be achieving. And you can also, I haven't done a slide yet, but the superintendent from Belknap County had a great idea, which was, you can certainly do a slide on marginal costs. If I have one defendant is like $3,600 a year for the food, medical cost, and I think there's one other item. So you can actually calculate actual costs. Now, I don't think you have all that many pretrial detainees right now in your county.
We have, right now we have 11.
11, okay. So you could plug 11 in here instead of 23. It's probably around half the 138 and figure that out. So, but that's just one part of it. Early case resolution I talked about. We said, 95 to 98% of all felonies universally from time eternal resolved without a plea. And I talked about the 40% resolving within 40 days of filing when you do early case resolution. But also, they had a consultant come to Stratford County, and he did some data collection, and he learned that 40% of all felonies don't need any more investigation at the time of their first appearance in circuit court. So you have everything you need at that time to solve the case, is the bottom line. So it's just changing the culture to sit down at the table earlier with an experienced prosecutor and experienced defense attorney so that you cut out the posturing, basically. That's early case resolution. And if you file felonies first in Superior Court, you can have early case resolution go hand in hand with that. You can start it right off the bat. And you can get into Superior Court if there's going to be a waiver of indictment. Let's see. So basically, early case resolution identifies those cases early and allows for prompt resolution before indictment. And this is how it works. As I said, you need vertical prosecution because the county attorney has to have authority over the felonies at the time of arrest. It's assigned to early case resolution prior to circuit court arraignment, so after arrest and before arraignment. And you have the same prosecutor and defense, as I told you, because they build trust. One of the concerns that the public defenders raise when I explain this to them is, God, my clients are going to think I'm selling them down the river, and if I drag it out, they see I'm their hero. And actually the opposite happened in Stratford County. Randy Hawks was the public defender who started it there. And the word was, you need Randy Hawks because your case will get resolved right away, you'll get a fair, reasonable deal, and you won't be waiting around forever and ever for your trial. So the fear that everybody had sounded intuitively right, but it was absolutely the opposite of what played out. And the other part, the concern of the prosecutors is, how are we going to get that discovery to the defense early? Because the police have to get the paperwork done. And Tom Velarde, who's the county attorney in Stratford, said, once you got the police buy-in, when they understood they don't have to be waiting and showing up for hearing after hearing, and that they can spend their time on the cases that are going to go to trial, they just changed their processes, and they were able to get discovery in those 40% of the cases that are pretty simple. So it eliminates posturing, and you get an offer and discovery at the time that counsel's appointed. So it can happen one of two ways. If the lawyers get involved early, they can go right into circuit court right now and waive probable cause and take a plea to a misdemeanor if they're going to reduce it. Or they can say, let's waive the grand jury indictment and go right to Superior Court and get it done. So those are the two ways to do it. One would be a felony resolution, and one would be a misdemeanor resolution. I think I mentioned all those things already. So what happens is that sometimes, I think what ended up happening in Stratford is you had more accurate charging decisions early. Sometimes police would charge something as a felony that should be charged as a misdemeanor, and sometimes the other way around. So you got accurate charging decisions early on, and you got a reasonable, solid offer. The other way it works is that a defendant in early case resolution, if they don't take that offer within the 5 or 10 days, then it's off the table. They don't get that offer again.
Who decides whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony?
The county attorney.
County attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
And so there's incentive for the defendant to resolve it early because it's a reasonable offer. It's not a better offer. It's not like a fire sale. It's what usually happens is the county attorney might start here, public defender might start here, and then with judge involvement over time, over several hearings, they get here. So the goal is to make this offer up front. And so there have been times, I know that when I sat in Stratford County where the defendant did not take the early case offer, and then maybe 4 or 5 months later wanted to take the early case offer, and I said no, because this program will not work if you can get what you were given early and take it later. And so that word got around, and so as you slowly stick to the culture, you can change the way you're doing things. Yes.
So there's no negotiation to begin with?
There might be,
You make
yes.
one offer and that's it, and then you move on. if
There
they
might
don't
be a
take it.
little bit between those two attorneys who have built up trust. For example, there might be an offer to a drug case of, suspended time and treatment. And the defense might say, this, or maybe it was a false prescription. My client does have a prescription. Let me get it for you and let me show it to you right now. And then they show it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor says, okay, I guess we're dismissing this case. So the two of them might have a little bit of back and forth, but there's not the posturing of,
That's what I meant.
Yeah, exactly, you're right. So it's all within that meeting. And so fewer pretrial hearings, fewer grand jury presentations, cases that actually need to go to trial get better attention. So for example, not many aggravated felonious sexual assault cases will go through early case resolution, although some have, where there's been a solid confession and the defendant does not want to put anybody through a trial. They have actually resolved in this way. But those cases they're complex, you need record review, you need counseling records, so those will take longer. It's not for every single case, but it really peels off the ones that we know are going to get solved. The trouble is we treat them all the same right now, and we don't differentiate, so they all get the same amount of time. Okay, amendments to Rule 98, dispositional conferences we talked a little bit about. This is just a neat idea that I'll just keep you in the loop on, and it doesn't require any money from anybody. If a case doesn't get resolved by early case resolution, we have one county trying this out. You can go to a settlement judge early, still, before your trial date. And the settlement judge is a judge that would be a senior active judge or retired judge, so not a judge that would ever hear the case. And they sort of act like a mediator. They have a meeting with anybody who wants to. The defendant would be there, the lawyers would be there, the victim can come, family members, police. And it's sort of a, very informal. One side would give their strong facts and what they think the sentence ought to be. The other side would give their strong facts. And it's really very interesting. Judge McGuire has been doing it in Nashua. And she has had 23 cases, and 18 of them were resolved after her process. And, here's one example. I'll give you one on either side. One example was a defendant who was young, 20-year-old or so, very minimal record. It was all drug possession. He was a total heroin addict. He was at a gas station with his girlfriend, yelling at her, berating her, and the victim, the concerned citizen on the other side of the tank, said, "Lay off her. What are you doing? You're treating her with disrespect." The defendant pulled something out of his car and hit the victim with it, injuring shoulder, neck, something. So the state wanted 3 to 6 years at the state prison. Makes sense. There was injury there. The defense said, my client is an addict. He was coming down off of a terrible, he's never had treatment. He needs treatment. How about we try something? And so they were kind of far apart, but they all knew what the evidence was. And so they came to Judge McGuire, and the victims came, and the victims talked, and they were very eloquent, and the victim said, I've heard that you have a drug addiction, but you belong in state prison because you injured me, which is completely understandable. And so they could have a lot more give and take. The judge could ask questions of the defendant, the prosecutor could ask questions. It's all on the record, but it's sealed. It can't be used later at a trial if it falls apart. So at one point, the defendant spoke and was very contrite and accountable and apologetic and emotional. And the judge asked the defendant, when did you come to this country? And I think he was from Puerto Rico. And he said, well, my mother was a heroin addict, so she brought me here when I was 5 and left me with my aunt in New York. Well, where's your dad? I don't know who my dad is. I've never met my dad. So this went on for a while until the victim's wife started crying. And because, in a regular court hearing, each side can't get to know the other very well. So eventually, after this sort of back and forth, they all agreed, including the victim and prosecution, that the defendant would get a shorter amount of jail time, not prison, and then would go directly to this Delancey Street program, which is a 1-year to 2-year long drug treatment program in New York. And they all left feeling resolved, basically. You might have a sentencing hearing where a judge would rule one or the other, and one side feels like a loser, and one side doesn't. They all felt like, okay, I can live with this, and there's closure here. And there was, on the other side of it, there was a defendant who had complete unreasonable expectations about what the strengths of his defense is, and the judge basically said to him, 2 to 4 was the state's offer. I can't remember the facts of it, and said that is as good as it's going to get, and I've been on this bench for 20 years, and so she was able to say that to a defendant who might not be able to hear that as well from their own lawyer. So those two are sort of competing examples, but it's just an interesting another step to get a case resolved short of trial and short of all those hearings in between. And this is sort of when it's appropriate, when one side or the other might have unreasonable expectations or misunderstanding of the facts. I don't mean the lawyers, I mean the defendant or victim. Okay, I explained that already. Example. Okay, So that's basically my presentation. I have a copy of the PowerPoint here that I can leave for you and anyone else who wants a copy. And so the reason I wanted to come today was just to sort of let you know what I'm up to. In terms of filing felonies first in Superior Court, the timeline would be, we have 2 counties that are willing to be a pilot, Stratford County and Cheshire County. And so we would need some legislation that we would look for next session, not this session, to change a few things in the statutes that will allow this to happen. And then that pilot in those 2 counties would run for about a year, because we want to see a full year. Are we getting cases solved sooner? Are we cutting out a lot of waste? Are we saving time for witnesses? And really take some data from that and collect data before we would roll it out in all the counties. So if we get to that point, and if people are convinced that it works, the other counties really wouldn't see that for 2.5 years from now. But I just wanted to give you a heads up and let you know, if you hear this percolating out there, what it is and what it means to the court system. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Definitely needs some adjustment.
Yes, right.
You're on the right track, going in the right direction.
Great. Well, we'll try. And Robin is on a lot of my working group committees, so keeping her in the loop is important too. And Jesse too. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for.
Have you been to the different police departments?
I have met with the incoming chair of the Police Association group, and I've met with several chiefs, but you're right, that plan needs to be in place too. He and I are going to work out, how should I do that? Should I go to separate departments? Should I go to meetings where he can get a bunch of people there? So that's part of the plan too. And then some members of the delegations, I think, will be important. Yeah.
You open for other discussion?
Sure. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No.
I'll only answer if I can.
No, this is positive.
Oh, good.
I had the opportunity to attend a drug court graduation.
Oh, great.
You were there, and Jason took me down. What do we have to do to get one going in this county?
My goal is to get drug court in every county before I retire, and I'm not staying till I'm 70. So, what you have
Well,
to...
let's not make it when you're 69.
Right.
68.
So let me tell you what most counties do. I started the one in Rockingham County before I was chief, and what that involved was starting very slowly with meetings with the stakeholders. So I had the county attorney, the public defender, probation, the jail, and we all met it took us about a year to sort of like, can we agree to go to training together? And then we applied for a federal training grant, and we all went to a week-long training where, it was really very intense because we all have our own mindsets and our own, where we're coming from, and that really you change that all around by going to the training. So we went to the training, and that's where you develop your protocols and your handbooks and your procedures. And then we came back to Rockingham County and worked more on the protocols, and then we applied for a federal implementation grant. And those are usually about 3 years long. So we did receive that grant, and it's about to run out, so we are now working on our county commissioners, hoping that they will see the value of it to make it part of their corrections budget for the next coming, not this year, but the next coming year. So, I would say to have a team of stakeholders, including the judge, get together and start talking about, are we committed, do we want to do this? And the reason I believe in drug court is because I've spent 17 years on the bench seeing the same people come in and out. We say the first time they come through, we're putting you on probation and we're going to tell you to go get treatment. But if they are a deeply addicted addict, they are not about to say, all right, I'm going to go march off to the friendship house. I mean, they're just, phew, I got out of that, I'm going back to use. And so then they violate probation because they're using some more, and then we say, all right, now you're going to get a jail sanction because you didn't listen to us. And then they go to jail for 3 months, and they come out and they use again. And then we say, all right, now you really didn't listen to us, so you're going to state prison. And they go to state prison, and they come out and they use again. And so we keep doing this, and we keep thinking escalating the sanctions is going to change their behavior. And they've done studies across the country that say, severe sanctions are not correlated to reducing crime. Immediate, certain, and swift sanctions are what correlate to reducing crime. And if it's someone who's deeply addicted, if they're committing crimes, burglary, stealing copper, thefts, checks, to feed their addiction, then we need to address the addiction if we want to keep the public safe. So Drug court really is designed to target those people that would otherwise be headed to a high-end house sentence or a low-end state prison sentence, and instead, they go to drug court.
I can say, we have drug court light here. We
You have
the
New Hope,
we have
that's
the New
another
Hope.
program.
We have the New Hope program, and
Yeah.
our first graduation of a successful participant is tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and he's done fabulous. Chuck Wolford, who's our chief probation officer, and
Great, that's
Jason Johnson, and
fantastic.
Jesse and I are all on the team, and we'll all be there.
That's good, so you've already
So,
got the players around
we
the
do.
table to talk
Yeah.
about drug court.
Yeah.
Drug court is for the intensely addicted. New Hope is sort of, Judge Schmuckler calls it drug court on the cheap.
Yeah, right.
But it's intensive probation for people who are abusers and also at high risk for continuing to reoffend. So it's really targets them. And in drug court, they show up every week and they're accountable to a judge. They go to treatment 3 days a week for 3 hours at a time. They have to go to AA every single day. They are random drug tested 3 days a week, and that's what I love. Right now, I mean, because probation is so overworked, they have such a high caseload. People show up once or twice a month on a predicted day to get a predicted drug test, and they're going to stop using a couple days before, then they're going to test negative, and they're going to start using again. If you have random drug tests, which they do on New Hope 3 times a week, they can't. Their only way of not getting arrested is to choose to stop using and to choose to behave. So that's why New Hope is so effective.
Doesn't it tie up the judge quite a bit?
You know, I mean, people were worried about that, and for the judges who are really committed to it, they're cases we would see anyway. And yeah, you spend probably on Mondays, you spend from 12 to 1 reviewing all the drug court cases with your team, and then from 1 to 3 dealing with all the participants. So it's a Monday afternoon, and it's something we can incorporate because it's the right thing to do.
I was struck by what appeared to be the relationship between the judge and the
It's
the
fascinating.
user.
And, you know,
It was almost like a big brother.
right, and they don't want to disappoint the judge. They've also done
That's right,
studies
yeah.
too on what works and what doesn't for drug court, and having judicial involvement weekly is a real incentive for them because they want some, if the judge recognizes when they succeed, and nobody in their life has ever done that for them, so then they want to continue that behavior. And they've done studies to show that you have to say 4 positive things for 1 negative thing in a drug court hearing, and that's more likely to reduce recidivism. And sometimes it's just thank you for showing up and wearing a nice shirt, you know. And they can't believe that somebody would recognize them for being here on time. And then, you know, I've said to someone, I've recognized the 4 positive things. You went to all your AA meetings, but you tested positive, which in and of itself is not a problem, but you lied to your probation officer about it, so you're doing a 2-day jail sanction right now. And they usually thank me as they're walking off to do their jail sanctions. So, you know, drug court provides incentives and rewards for people who are doing well, and sanctions when they're not complying. So, and it's immediate, and it's every week, and so it's the way you change behavior.
One last subject.
Sure.
Why are we, I know it's the legislature, but why are we putting habitual offenders in our jail at $100 a day when they're
Right,
basically not violent offenders?
right.
Why don't we have a probationary driving license so they take their license, they can't go to work, they're
Right.
on welfare, sitting home figuring out ways to get in trouble?
Right.
Why don't we change that?
I like that suggestion, yeah. I mean, I think we at least, there, many years ago, 10 years ago, it used to be mandatory 1 year regardless. Now at least they
I
can do.
thought it was.
It is mandatory, but if you qualify, you can do the bracelet after 14 days. So at least we have that, but you can only use that once, and then it's a year. But you're right, I mean, really, so the new evidence is we need to incarcerate the people that we're scared of and not the people that make us angry. You know, they're frustrating, their behavior is frustrating because they keep on violating, but putting them in jail isn't gonna change that behavior for some nonviolent folks, yeah.
We have one over here now that had a tail light out, and that was enough points to put him
But
over.
he's got the points
Further
over the edge,
discussion, as I've
right.
learned, of always
Right.
2 sides. Well, he didn't have a license either.
That's true, yeah, that's true.
But he wasn't a violent offender.
Yeah.
He was driving up here to do something. and
Yeah,
tail
I
light
think
put him in jail.
there's fodder for some change around that too, yeah, I think you have some good
And
ideas.
it's costly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, thank you.
Damon's a reporter for the Conway Daily Sun.
Okay, hi, good to see you.
Thank you for coming. One frustration I have just being in the media is And when the cases take so long, they're very hard for us to track.
To keep track of, right.
And you always want to be fair when the police bust somebody on a felony level charge, and it's a big new banner story.
Yeah.
This person's been accused of something, and then 6 months later they're acquitted. You know, that doesn't come out either.
Right, because it's so far, yeah.
It's so far.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, like, when you put this plan together, if you can think of ways that we can be kind of included in the media as helping us keep track. I know in the circuit court, they have the folders of the case resolutions, and we can just go through the folder and do a log, but there's no such log
Oh,
for
that's
Superior Court.
interesting. Okay.
And what we used to do until our staff levels got reduced was do a indictment log, but that doesn't really tell you how the case ended up.
Right.
So it's not really fair
Right.
either.
I'll look into that. I'll see what they do in circuit court. That makes sense, to be able to see what happens to the case and have that
Right.
log there. Great, that's great. I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else got some good questions while she's here?
While I'm here, right? Great.
Seeing none.
Well, thank you so much.
Appreciate you very
Thank you.
much for
Yes, well, I'll keep you posted
presentation.
through Robin and any other
Yeah,
time you want
yeah.
to chat, and I'll leave these here.
Good
Great.
luck.
Thank you so
very
much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Is it possible to get the report electronically?
Yeah, let me, sure.
That'd be great.
Okay, great, thank you.
Lord knows my dust doesn't need any more paper.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to make some copies now, I'll be right back.
All right, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
We'll have a recess for about 5 minutes. Okay, I call this meeting back to order again. And Jason, you had something for the public.
Yes, Commissioner, I got the contracts for Securus that we...
Yeah, can we hold off until Commissioner Kenney comes back? But do you have anything else you want to present?
I do.
Okay.
I'll give you the list.
I apologize, ma'am, I'll get it.
I'll give you a photocopy of this. Minutes. Okay, so we have 54 in-house this morning, 4 on the monitor, 8 transfers, 0 weekenders, 0 out on pretrial release, total population of 66. Took in 11 offenders last week, 6 were repeaters and 12 were released. Pleased to announce that the graduation of the 95th Academy last Friday, all 3 of our officers successfully completed the program. And additionally, we had 2 other recognitions. Officer Christina Martineau received the honor grad. This is the 3rd time in the last 4 years that
Top in the class?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Since 2010, we've received it 4 times, 3 times, I apologize. So that speaks to the quality of the staff that we're sending down.
Great.
Officer Vito Marcello also received recognition in receiving the Physical Fitness Award. That's the 2nd academy in a row that one of our officers has brought back that award. With respect to your request of establishing a contract for engaging with employees coming in, last week I've talked to all the superintendents. There's not one county that has a contract. Actually, I stand corrected. There is one county. They have a contract. According to their staff attorney, it's not enforceable. So therefore, I cannot recommend nor support entering into a contractual agreement. I would rather see us invest our time and energy in fixing the problem rather than creating another one. Last Friday, we had 3 officers attend the Arconics user group, and they're going to be holding a user group every quarter, and we're going to host the last quarter of this year, so we're going to have a number of other counties attend our facility in December. Next academy is scheduled to begin next Monday. The academy is going to be held in Stratford County.
Oh, really?
Police standards and training is undergoing some construction. Classroom 3 and classroom 4 being worked on. We're typically in classroom 3. So that space is not available for the next upcoming academy.
So it's just a space, it's not the instructors, the same instructors.
Correct.
Are we having any, most importantly, are we having anybody going?
We have 2 scheduled to go. Next Saturday, the 12th, we're graduating our 4th T4C program. We have 8 offenders that are going to be graduating. The T4C, Thinking for a Change program. That's scheduled to start at 1 o'clock.
Are we still 13 for 15?
Yes.
That's a pretty impressive record.
Yeah, Sergeant Phillips does a great job with that program. He screens the offenders going in. I mean, he's done very well. Most recently, we have 2 offenders that were just released who could not complete it, but probation's going to be picking the program up, because they're going out on probation. And I've already talked to Chief, and his staff are going to be working with those 2 offenders that have been released to the community.
And just for the public, the 13 for 15, we've had 15 graduates, and I believe 2 classes, right, Jason?
I'm sorry, sir?
We've had two graduations or 3?
3. This is our 4th.
Okay. Well, I can see you can count, that's good. We've had 15 complete the course, and only 2 of them have, I don't want to say failed, but one was in the wrong place at the right time, the other one was a failure. And that's a pretty impressive record compared to what we had before. What the regular population over there.
The Northern Human Services, I talked with their representative who works in our facility earlier this week. We're going to be establishing a new meditation program, and what this has evidence-based support to show that people that participate in this program have impacts the number of people that require medication to help deal with whatever they're dealing with. It also targets substance abuse and impacts recidivism. So that's going to be a program that we're going to start here relatively quick. It also helps support the Thinking for a Change program as well, because it's all kind of coordinated. Do you want to review the contracts and either sign them?
Get a question?
Okay.
The graduation, first of all, you've invited, I think, all of the representatives, or just the delegate members that were on the subcommittee?
Just as the jail subcommittee.
Okay. Maybe thinking it over, Jason, you 2 guys can think about it, and talk about it. Maybe we ought to invite all. I don't think you get very many, but you might want to at least offer it to them.
Okay. Space is limited, but okay.
And the other thing is, I think it's important, we will have a former inmate and an offender and who has graduated from this course will be coming back and talking to those that are graduating this time. Hopefully we'll have a second one.
Good.
Did you want to either review and sign the contracts today, or maybe by next week, just so I can get them back out to Securus? From the time that we sign the contract, they'll have their system.
Is that the same?
It's 2 different contracts, ma'am.
Oh, it is?
Okay.
One's for the phone service and one's for the general management package.
Phone service, and again, what was the other one?
The jail management package.
Okay.
You know, my recommendation, looking at these, Mr. Chairman, is we give them to the county attorney to give to one of her folks to look over quickly, because this is all legalese.
Just so, I don't know if you heard me, when we sign these, they'll start implementing their program as far as the phone service goes, 90 days from the date of the signature. And then talking with our Connex when we were at the Cheshire User Group, we're looking at about 6 months to get that program up and installed, looking at data conversion, training of the staff. So there's a whole slew of processes that will need to happen prior to going live with them. And the only other thing that I had, I know, Commissioner, we haven't had an opportunity to speak about the Relias learning.
Yes, I have it here.
Okay. Do you,
We talking about training?
the online, yes.
Okay,
Online training.
I'd like to have Commissioner, you've presented yours already. We'll let her start off, and then we'll go to you
I have,
after.
That's what I was looking for, thank you.
about the online training, the other company, what you said, didn't reply. I contacted them and they say they didn't receive any RFP.
Okay.
And I asked them, I actually told them what the RFP was and if they have a quote for me, and they sent me a quote. I also checked their library,
Okay.
what is similar.
Mhm.
And their quote is cheaper. There's a one-time implementation fee of $500. And I believe Relays Learning, I have their contract here, is $2,500.
Mhm.
And the subtotal every year is $3,000 a year. And the Reliance is $8,400 a year. And I believe they billed $6,050 total. And that they do give a discount, I see, of $1,250. So it's $6,050. And the total here with the implementation fee is $3,500.
Okay. I just have a,
Okay.
when you talk to this company, did you, is their program certified by the American Corrections Association or the American Jail Association?
I talked to them and they say if you go into higher education or whatever you go in, you get credits. If you want to go further, go study.
Mhm.
I don't know if they have an agreement with any association.
Mhm.
And if you look New Hampshire, the rule, the RSA, it is not a requirement that you have to have it.
Mhm. You know, it was a requirement that we put in because then we know that our officers are maintaining the level of training that's nationally recognized by all the facilities across the United States.
That was in the RFP.
Right, we put that in the RFP. Do you know how many classes that this company offers?
Oh, I look at a library, but it was similar.
Well, we went
What do you mean by classes?
specifically for corrections.
Yes, they have for corrections, they have also for inmates, they have for law enforcement. Yes, this company is around for a long time, I hear.
Okay. When we looked at the website, we only found 42 classes that were related to corrections, as opposed to the 199 that we get through Relias. The program for Relias is $4,800 a month, or a year, not $8,400, as you just
No,
quoted.
I just say $4,800 a year.
I thought I heard you just say $8,400.
8,400?
Yep.
Oh, no, oh, if I say that, I misspoke. It's I have the contract here, and it said $4,800.
With the $500 implementation fee, do you know if that included, like, setup and administration and training of the officer who would be managing the program?
Yes, I asked for that, the setup and training. And matter of fact, they say they also give, they can set it up so you have a free trial.
Okay.
If you like the program or not, and if you don't like it, you don't have to go with them. But at least you get a few months so that everyone can try it, and they will train and they will set it up.
Okay. How about the management system where we can insert our own lesson plans and things of that nature and track all that.
You see, I didn't go in that detail. If you have those questions, give it to me and I can call them again and ask them.
Okay.
They also say it's a year contract, relays have a 7-year contract.
Mhm.
So you can have a trial, and after the year, if you want to go with another company, you can. You're not bounded by a 7-year contract. You can do 1 or 2, and you're free to go. The
Okay.
other one is 7 years, so you cannot go to another company, or if there's something new coming out in the market.
Okay.
But
And do you know how many counties have implemented this program at all? Did you talk to them and get references as far as any other correctional facilities across the?
I don't know how many counties, but they are for a long time around, and I think different states have this program. What I was hearing, I don't know
She
if
doesn't
they
know.
have anything in the state of New Hampshire.
Okay.
I have to call then all the counties and ask them if they have, what I can do. I can ask them if anyone has this program. I just bring the code forward that this company didn't receive the RFP and it is cheaper a year.
Well, we contacted the company on the web. We submitted it through the Contact Us section of their website. And it wasn't until we followed up with a phone call, how many times after?
Sergeant Baker put it into them once. I put it into them again via their website with no answers. And then I had eventually called them on the phone to talk to somebody. So they were submitted twice via their own website.
When I talked to him, he looked and he called the other people and he said they didn't receive anything. So I don't know about that.
Even after last meeting, I submitted it again online again to them. There was no contact until I actually followed through with a phone call to talk to somebody to actually have things sent to us. And again, the information doesn't meet the RFP.
And I think the dialogue, I guess, right now is kind of moot because the contract has been signed. I just think that the research that we've done shows that we did our due diligence initially, and we lost out on, so again, substantial amount of money. And going back, when you accused me of inflating my numbers 2 meetings ago, I did not tell you, and I just learned afterwards, that not only did we lose the 10 licenses for the law enforcement, but actually we lost all 50 licenses for law enforcement, which in of itself is a cost. And then if we wanted to go back and renegotiate and get the licenses for 40 users for the law enforcement package, we're looking at about $60 a license, or about $2,000 a year, roughly, that we lost out on. So I actually gave you the numbers inaccurately. My numbers were lower than what I originally told you.
When I talked to the
So-
latest company, she said they had a special in because they wanted to have contracts in the
Mhm.
state of New Hampshire.
Yep.
Because it was new, and that's why they put in a special in January, and it was only 15 licenses. This company can also give the licenses 15 or more, and it will be still cheaper than the other company.
But
I mean,
the-
if you pay $4,800
Mhm.
a year and $3,000, they can add law enforcement licenses. They can add also programs for inmates.
Okay,
That-
go ahead.
That company actually does not do programs for inmates. That company right there, ma'am, they do law enforcement, they do firefighting, they do EMS, they do small amount of corrections. And then with the law enforcement package, you're looking at detectives, patrolmen, things of that really we don't have. The training is valuable, I'll state that, but it doesn't have a direct impact on our operations. We're getting 199 courses as opposed to 40 courses. Again, I think we've kind of shown that Relias Learning is a far better product than what you researched.
And I did talk to the gentleman, make contact, talk on the phone. They do not offer to put our own programs into it unless it's in a Word document, so they can't put PowerPoint. The package that they're offering for $3,500 only includes the law enforcement corrections. It does not include the other ones that they have on there. And if you add up both of them, that would be beneficial to us between the law enforcement correction package. It's less than 70 courses between the two that we could actually take out of that. That would actually have any impact on us. And again, It's not ACA or AJA certified. I talked to the gentleman. They are not certified in either one, nor do they seek certification in those two. And that's most of our trainings and all things that we attend and use all the time between those two places.
I don't know what courses they're giving, I have to call them again. I just checked to the library and it seems similar, and the state of Hampshire is not required a jail. You know that, we are exempt in Hampshire. That there's not the RSA that we have to go through this learning package from Reliance, that we have the expensive learning package.
We don't have a statute,
Yeah.
but we have standards. And each county recognizes standards. I want my staff trained in accordance with national standards. That's something that I, as a superintendent, asked for. And I would think that you, as a Board of Commissioners, would expect, because then you know that your staff has quality level of training, which means that you have quality level of professionals working in that environment. I guess that's where I stand.
If you read the RSA, it said to follow reasonable guidelines. That is what it said for New Hampshire.
Jason, I'd like to ask one question. What's the benefit of having a 7-year contract versus individual contracts for 7 years?
We got
Was there a benefit in
was-
that package?
It actually helped reduce the cost.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it was a cost. We could have gone with a 5-year contract, but the licenses were a little bit higher.
The program also is a management system. It will track all the training, including somebody that's even left. We can go back for records, as we know, for proper training, everything else. We can go back and look. The administrators on it can designate who's taking what training. They have supervisor level courses. They continue to add to their library. We can add to the library, so it's something we want to keep, because all our PowerPoints and everything else can be inside of that. And if I can take it back, look at the reason why we looked for a program to begin with was to reduce our overtime costs, because we are bringing people in on days off to do the training that we are required to do per standards to keep everybody's certification. So we want to look for a program costs us less overtime money. And that's the original reason why we went out and looked for a company that was meeting our RFP, which is ACA, AJ certified, and going to cost us less in the long run.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
have
still-
one question.
Go ahead,
Did they give you
Commissioner
any reason why, if you contacted them twice on their Contact Us website, that they didn't call you back?
I didn't ask, I didn't get any answer, so knew the meeting was coming up last week, so I called quickly because I couldn't get a hold of anybody, because again, to make sure that Sergeant Baker put things on the web, which he said he did, I'd take his word for it, but because the meeting was coming up, I did it myself, and I got no response. So for last week, I picked up the phone and actually talked to somebody, and actually the quote that I got was actually the same one that you got from them, was the exact same quote.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing you sent over is the same thing I have from them too as well.
Which quote are you talking about?
The CNET.
Or
The
oh,
CNET.
the other one?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
If we have problems calling them to get information, then I would say that was a poor representative of the company. If you can't get somebody to talk to, is that true, or am I wrong?
When you say contact us and you submit information to them, they don't call you back. It's their
Yeah.
reputation.
Okay.
Well, if they don't receive it, how is it their reputation? Because I asked him, and he called me a couple times back. He looked through it. He's the vice president, and he looked also if it is submitted to other sources, and he said there was nothing there. Like you said, you submitted again. I don't know about the second time, because I asked him to see if he had any information came from Carroll County, and he said no. There was no information coming out of Carroll County. And he gave me
Okay.
immediately the codes. I told him what I was looking for, and he called me back numerous times.
Okay, Commissioner Babson?
Yeah, Jason, this is a moot question because we've signed the contract, but would you do us a favor, you two, and keep us posted maybe on a monthly basis how this program's working out?
Relias, we can give you an update right now. I know Sergeant Baker has done 2 webinars He has another one scheduled, I want to say either later this week or early next week.
Excuse me, Jason, when you say done a webinar, is that for himself or for himself with 10 people? Or?
For himself, because he's being set up as one of the administrators on the program, so he's learning how to add the users, track individuals, assign classes, run various reports, and then once he gets through all that training, then he's gonna start implementing the program and assigning out classes to the officers to take. Want to know one of the biggest ones, especially with PREA coming up, he's gonna be assigning the PREA class to all of our staff to take, and actually that wasn't in the CNAC program that you spoke of. They didn't offer any type of PREA training, and with the mandates coming down from the federal government on PREA and everybody being in compliance, they're not a company that we could have relied on to receive any type of training from them.
I would have thought that would have been number one on anybody's
New program.
new program training.
They're on that CNET, their corrections part of it is very, very small section of it. They more curtail to deputy sheriffs, and then law enforcement itself is doing detectives patrol and those kinds of things. So it's really geared towards the states that have corrections and the deputy sheriffs combined. So a lot of it doesn't apply to us. That's what they were geared towards.
Okay.
But I will get, no, sorry, Commissioner, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll get you, by the end of May, how many officers have started the program and where we're sitting as far as the number of training hours that we've received. And that would equate to a savings of overtime, because we would be training on overtime.
Can you say unequivocally that if we get Correction Officer Smith for 5 hours on the program, that he would have had to have time and a half if we had to go somewhere else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the way we do our training, because our staffing levels, we have to bring people in on their days off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say these are overtime hours that we're saving?
Correct.
Good.
Anything further?
Yes, I'd like to respond
Go ahead.
on Jason Henry, what he just stated, that is geared not for this county. This company has been around for a long time, and I know that other states, what I've been told by them, and other jails are using this company. And if you say that you need a 7-year contract from relayers just to get to this expensive price of $4,800 a year, then they are very expensive. And this is only $3,000 a year. You said the other one have more cautious. I don't know. Maybe they do. But I don't think that a taxpayer has to pay for this expensive program that you want to implement, just an expensive program like this.
In the long run, it's going to cost taxpayers a lot less money because we're not paying the overtime.
Yeah, well, if you went with the other company, you were not paying overtime too.
But doesn't meet our needs.
Okay. You all done?
Yes.
Okay. We've already signed the contract.
Yep.
It apparently, the company that we went with does have certain standards according to national jail recommendations.
Yep.
I think we did probably the proper way. It's too bad we didn't do it earlier. We did lose out on some bonuses that we could have taken advantage of, not only in your department, but in other departments, as I understand it. So I think this would conclude our discussion on these contracts. We've already signed it, so it's been implemented. As far as I'm concerned, end of conversation.
Except how well it's working.
Except how well it's working, as long as we get
Or
some
not working.
reports coming back. Okay. Okay? What do you need?
They're gonna take that under to the county attorney for review. Yep. Will we be able to, you think, a timeline on that contract, we'll be able to have that for next week, you think?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
we got both of them.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Category.
Thank you for all the help on the budget, Kathy.
Yes.
I don't know how anybody would have got through without you.
It's a timely thing that you have to do because they want to approve the final budget and they need the final figures and you have to come up with them. So I agree with Commissioner Babson, you did a really good job on the budget.
Well, thank you, and it did, get to the state. It is on the web. We've sent it out to all the selectmen, all the representatives. We have a hard copy down in the office, so if someone from the public comes in, they can look at it.
Okay.
Kath, is it on the web as that stupid sheet that only has two or three lines? We have the whole that everybody's looking at here when we do it.
Yeah,
Good,
the
great.
whole, Cheryl was able to put it up, so anybody who has computer access can see it, or if they want to come in the office, they can see it.
Great.
So,
And all department heads have received the
Their
up-to-date
sheets, yeah.
copy, so they know what their budget is.
Yeah, they all have theirs, so that's.
Okay. Anything else you have for us?
You have a meeting Friday in Concord, I
Right,
believe?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I'm assuming they talked about the Sunday event at the,
Right.
at the nursing home.
Yep.
And I did also notice on their calendar, the nursing home has activities next week. There's the breakfast next.
Oh, is that-
Next Wednesday.
That's next
It
Wednesday?
is.
Yeah, I saw that on their calendar, so
Okay.
I don't know if you want to consider that. And I know you had mentioned at some point about a timestamp,
Yes.
an electronic timestamp.
Yes.
And Cheryl's been researching what those are, and the most reasonable one is $200.
Well, we sent out an email over 9 months ago, or when that did, when she came here. There were $22.50 or something like that, and that everybody, she has the email for you.
All right, we'll check and see.
Because some people are now stamping them.
They're
a couple of
stamping
and
them,
it
yeah,
makes a
but in
difference.
our office, Cheryl went
Makes a big
to the,
difference.
and it's a time, it's an electronic and it's a time.
Oh, well, these are just the
This is
old.
just a stamp.
Right,
These are the old
okay.
hand
Well, I
stamps.
have one of those.
Yeah, they work fine, all we wanna know
In the
is what day
office.
they come in, so that we don't, especially these hospital bills that go around the world before we get them.
So, okay. Like I said, I have one in the office already
Okay.
that I stamp.
Yours is the one that's doing it already stamping them,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I'd like to get the others.
So
to
are we
do it.
okay on that? We don't have to bother looking any further?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Just
all right,
getting
so
them to
we'll-
use it is the problem.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Hale's location, you had left on my desk a couple agreements and you would like Kathy to come in, or do you want her to call?
We need an explanation. I
Of
mean,
what they are.
for individuals that pay $250 a year so that they could pay their taxes electronically, it sounds ridiculous to me. There may be something else missing, but that's why I understood the contract.
Okay. Well, would you like me to set up a phone call with her?
Why can't we do the phone call?
Yeah.
Next week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she can explain what
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It just sounds like it's an extra thing to, I mean, how many people over there would want to pay the extra $250 just so they could send it in electronically? It doesn't, I may have read it wrong, but that's the way I looked at it. Okay, you got anything else?
No.
All right, then.
Let me get
And
Ann.
thank you, and if Ann would
Can
come
I-
up.
Can I
You
ask
got a question?
something? Yes.
I have,
I just went downstairs and I looked at an email and I saw we received the email from the audit company, and he said he asked you certain documents and he didn't receive it.
Okay.
So
I don't
if
know
you
what
can-
oh,
you-
yes.
I
So
don't
if
know
you
what
can,
asked.
if you can give him the documents what he requested,
Okay,
so
okay.
he can finish the audit. He said he
Yeah.
cannot finish it,
Okay.
that he asked you like 65 items, and
Yeah.
you sent him like 25 only.
No, I sent him a document that has over 400 pages to it with the details, so I'll give him a call and
Okay.
see what he's referring to. It may have because I showed you that large document that I had.
Well, he did
sent.
write the letter, and he did say that the financial office wasn't getting the information to him that he needed.
Well, because remember I showed you what I was sending him?
But this was just within the last,
Day or two?
what, Asha, 3 or 4 days ago. It wasn't very, couple
I
of days, it
just went
wasn't very long.
downstairs and I just saw it this
Okay, I'll
morning
see
when I
what
went
it is.
downstairs.
Because we might have, and then the cost report, that's done, that was filed, so
What year are we talking about?
that's
11.
what- okay.
11?
Yeah, see, that's
No,
what
11's done.
I thought 11
12.
was done.
11's done, 12.
So,
It's 12?
He said no, he still needs some items from 11.
okay, well, let me see what he sent you, and I'll give him a call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The 12,
Last
he need
thing,
all
Mr.
the
Chairman.
financial, he need to do the financial
got that
statements
too.
too, so he
He's-
need a lot of
Yeah,
information
he's
for
got
12.
that. Okay, so, all righty.
Okay, Commissioner Babson?
Yes, Kathy, we had a Cronus training session here the other day.
Yeah,
Conspicuous with their absence with the sheriff's department, the business office, and the county attorney. We would like somebody attending those meetings.
okay. I know, as far as the sheriff's office, the person that does that's on vacation.
Yeah.
We found that out,
What
we're
about
worried
the
about
admin-
your office.
about
Well,
your office?
I didn't realize I needed to attend
Okay.
because
Every department head, which you're one, needs to go.
Okay, because it wasn't communicated the necessity, because I had been on last week with Kronos doing with Deb, going through what our needs were, so I didn't think it was, I thought it was more for training for the people that are checking the time on the employees.
Well, from now on, consider it when you have a
Yep.
meeting with
Okay,
Cronus
good, I
that it's
should
critical.
go. Yep.
Or somebody should go from your office, so
Well,
we're
and
gonna
then-
get this thing running one way or another.
And I have worked with ACS, and the job codes for some people needed to be corrected as far as you have pay codes and you have job codes. So we have one of the things we worked out last week is like the nursing staff at the jail. They had a certain job code, and the rules have changed now in that job code, so we had to go in and change it because they get shift and weekend differential now. So that had to be adjusted in the job code, not just the pay code, but the job code. So an RN at the jail is different than an RN at the nursing home. So, we worked through those and adjusted those
How
job
long does it
codes.
take to do that?
To do that?
Yeah.
It
Is
doesn't.
that just a phone call?
No, I can do it I can do it. I can go into the software program and make the change that needs to be. So anytime there's a change that needs to be done in both the ACS side and the Chrono side, so that matches up.
Okay. Are we due to have an upgrade on the payroll system
We have it annually at the end of the year.
every year?
At the end of the year, yeah.
What's that cost? Any idea
It's
offhand?
part of our contract with them, but it's so it keeps us in compliance with all the federal tax codes and
Yeah.
everything. So it's an annual, it's for the whole system, not just payroll. It's the financial, it's the payables, we have an annual. So if there's any
Okay.
updates, it's done annually.
Okay. And you do that? How does that done?
Actually, yes, I do that. We have instructions, we go, because we're all connected now, they can come in and upload the necessary technology. In the past, they would send a disk and we'd have to load the disk in, and now it's all done electronically.
Okay.
Okay?
Good, thank you. Ann?
What is Chuck here for?
I think he wants to talk with me or maybe us regarding the nursing home. Okay. Space.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Put you on the agenda because you have some bids on your furniture. Did you have any more other than the ones you gave me?
Actually, I was just on the phone with a surveyor from Alton, and I mentioned that we were selling, and he goes, can I come up and look at them? So it could be easier than we think,
So you got 10 that are
that we're people who
spoken
actually work here and.
for $10 apiece,
Yeah.
right? Any idea how many he would be looking at?
No.
No.
I'm actually thinking, because we do have a certain amount of traffic that just comes in, I just put a note on that these are for sale best offer, or
Okay.
submit an offer.
This is a pretty large extended family, you know that?
What's that?
Because they're all the same bid.
Well, they all, I said to them that you were going to, and they did that on their own, I left their own. I said, you have to put in an offer, I mean, if you wanted to
They
do
must have done it in
something
the
different.
coffee room then.
Are these all?
No, they
our-
weren't in my.
Are these
in my
all
room.
our people?
They're not our people, they're people who come in and do.
No, but I mean, nobody in the office?
No.
Okay. Well, they can talk to each other. That's all right.
Well, now, maybe we should build some more and put them up for sale. We got more, we got more requests for benches than we have to sell.
No,
No, we don't.
How many do you have?
I have 15.
Oh, 15?
15,
Yeah.
so 10 of them, I think there's 10 there.
There's 1,
And I'm sure.
6, 7, and, yep, right, 9, we're squeaking by.
9 or 10?
Well, it's one I think said I just told them to put it in the envelope, they couldn't decide whether they wanted 1 or 2, and I just said, well, you do what you do and put it in this envelope, and I will give it to the commissioner, and I'm not gonna get involved other than pass
That's,
the
they're
word.
moving them.
Hmm?
They're moving
Oh, yeah,
them.
they would have to do all the,
Do we have a motion to accept the bids for furniture in the registry of deeds?
Wow. The bid, is the
For
closing date come and
$10
gone?
a piece? What?
Has bid date come and gone?
I didn't think we did it as a bid, I think it was just a best offer.
Yeah, but we've announced,
I thought it was always first come, first served.
well, you happy with the price?
Am I happy? It's better than hauling them off to the old nursing
Well,
home.
that's what I'm
That's
thinking.
true.
And having
is
to
the amount of space it
dispose
would
of
even
them from
take up,
there.
and then just.
Well, there's such a demand.
I mean, they're
why
worth a
tell
lot
them
more,
there's a
but
shortage?
they have to fit a
A
certain
certain need.
need.
They're big, they're heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I'm fine with it if we'd like to get rid of them.
it's a money deal, so I would accept the motion.
You made a motion or not? Did you make a motion?
I didn't make a motion, not
Oh, I
yet.
thought that
You want to make a motion?
Yes, I just moved.
Commissioner Babson move to
Oh,
accept the
okay.
offers?
Pardon me?
Did you move to accept the offers?
No.
Oh,
Okay, I moved to accept the offers, all of them.
And if we have any others at that same price or better,
Or higher.
automatically,
Well, there's a shortage now. I mean, everybody wants them. We gotta go up on the price.
We're gonna be fine.
shortage.
I just think if it saves our group, the farm people and Jerry to have to move them over there, hope somebody comes and buys them, or have to take them to the dump. It's-
Encourage that other caller this morning.
I
to-
will, he's coming. Oh, no, he was
Come and
very
look at it.
excited, so.
Okay.
and they're all for $10?
I'll second it.
All for $10.
Any further discussion?
Yeah. I think we could be a little bit smarter the next time we get something like this. At least we can accept these 4 offers, but not put the price out on the television in case somebody comes in and wants to make a better offer on the remaining ones. If someone comes in and offers us $15 for one of the next one, are you gonna say, oh, no, we sold the others for 10?
No, I said $10 or better.
Okay. No, I'm in
Well,
favor
not
of it.
less, for sure.
Okay. All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 So voted. Hopefully you get rid of all of them.
Wasn't that easy? Well, I mean, I'd be glad if we don't have to have the disruption at various times to be hauling those out anyway.
So you can fill that space with something else now.
Well, not until she gets rid of them.
Well,
Well,
I've got
hopefully-
new racks already, ready to go in there already, so.
Okay,
Anything else?
thank you, Ann. No.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is, how about minutes? Regarding the non-public minutes,
David?
Go
Can I say
ahead.
something? Because I was the one that was concerned. I think we've consulted with enough lawyers in the last couple of days that if we put down that we're going to review the minutes based on what we did originally, whether it was personnel or litigation or whatever,
Right.
then it's okay for us to open it.
That's my understanding also. Yeah. Okay, that's non-public. Let's talk about the public minutes.
Public minutes of March 26th.
March 19 is one.
Yep. Okay, we got March 26th.
I have March 26th here.
Do you have any corrections?
I have no correction, I have to abstain, I was absent.
Okay. I have one small correction. Down on the first page under reports, for the county's proposed new truck, I wasn't looking at a new truck, I was looking at a used new truck.
What's new to us?
New to us, but a used truck,
Angela's proposed, no, truck, I'll just take out new.
okay?
Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think that's all I had. Did you have something, Commissioner Brown?
Nope. Oh, this one. You questioned the amount, that was the new amount, David.
Yeah.
Here to here and here to here.
Yeah, I think
Those
that's,
are the new ones that he came, I've got them in my book here.
the motion was to increase the new private pay residents from $290 to $325 effective the 1st of July. And then those that are presently there would increase from $290 to $295 effective the 1st of July.
Right.
I had no problem with that. I still don't understand, and I won't even get into them again. I don't have any other.
On page 4, public input,
Yep.
I believe that I agreed with Mr. Comeau. that Anybody raising fresh produce in this area ought to have the opportunity to sell it to them.
How,
Nursing home.
okay, yep. I think under work session, how are we going to go about doing that? Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
Did you want a sentence added, Commissioner Babson?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I think that's correct. I don't think
And
it
that's in
should
the
be.
first paragraph under public input?
Yep, I don't think it should be just a farm. I think that we ought to have some system here where somebody can come in from the outside, say, I got 3 bushels of cucumbers, do you want to buy them?
So, fresh produce, the
Okay.
Commissioner Sorensen thought not. The way I read that paragraph, it sounded like I didn't agree. I think the question was asked whether they do it now, and I said,
Right.
thought not.
Okay,
Yeah, you definitely, yours was not a comment against the procedure, yours was what was going on now.
Right, okay.
okay.
All right, yeah, any other comments? All right, all those, could I have a motion to accept March 26 minutes?
Make a motion that we accept March 26 minutes as corrected.
Do I hear a second?
You need a second.
You weren't
I
here,
abstain.
so I'll second it. Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those no?
Uh,
You abstain?
Yes.
Okay. So, they've been approved. Now, March 19th.
received the March 19 minutes this morning, correct?
Correct.
I just want to say the law stated 5 business days, that those minutes were a few weeks late. It's a violation of the 91A.
Public minutes?
Yep.
I understand why they were late, because the delegation had to meet on Friday, and those minutes had to be done by then. And so be it. Do you have any corrections to the March 19th?
I just received it. I didn't go over all of it. If I had it yesterday night, I could read it.
On page 7?
So I,
Page 7?
Yeah,
no correction on this time.
Okay.
I would like you to make it more clear that Commissioner Kenney, when she was checking the minutes from Snoop that told her somebody was using 900 minutes, it wasn't an employee of this county.
Oh, right. Said that the current request was instigated by a taxpayer who complained that the county employee used all 900 minutes of time. Yeah, that,
It wasn't, the person, Commissioner Kenney wouldn't identify the person that told her, nor would she tell us who the person was that used the 900 minutes, except to say that it wasn't here in this county. So why bring it up?
Oh, so it's not our county
No.
employee, it's some other county?
No.
Okay. Good.
so that needs to be corrected.
Okay.
Page 8,
Wait a minute.
Hang on.
Wait a minute. How are we gonna correct that?
I'm gonna add, complain that a county employee in another county used all 9.
No,
Nope.
I don't think so.
No?
Complain that someone
Someone else.
used all 90 minutes of time on a cell phone plan.
but it was not in Carroll County.
Well, we don't know that.
That's what you said.
Oh, did you say that?
Yes.
It is not in this county.
Not in this county? Okay. So the rest of the sentence is okay?
I have to read it.
So we checked Mrs. DeGroot's cell phone to make sure it wasn't hers.
Okay? You got another correction?
Yeah, a minor correction.
Rather than county, you need to take
Page
out
8,
the, rather than business class.
second paragraph down. And changing the word taking from to record.
Okay, wait a minute.
So
where am I?
which page are we now?
Second paragraph, the second full paragraph?
Yes.
Which page?
Okay, and taking,
I would change that to, would respectfully request that you change it to recorded. For maintaining the county's minutes and securely add, recording them, or assuring that they are recorded.
okay.
Okay, any others?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of March 19th as corrected.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Are you-
Abstain?
She's
How do you
voting
vote?
Against.
Yeah, no,
You're not in favor of the motion?
against the minutes, yep.
Why?
Because like I told you, I just got it this morning. I didn't have a chance to read and went through all
We all
the
got them,
minutes.
just got them this morning, and some of
Oh.
us get to work before 8 to
Yeah,
29.
I need a little
Aye.
more time.
2-0, okay?
Now, is there
Motion.
any way to recover your markup from the March 12 minutes? That was the ones that were reviewed at the meeting I didn't attend. And the other alternative would be for me to submit another draft to make sure that you're happy with the changes. And I'll mark the changes in red or something like that, so we can, because the discussion was a little bit confusing. You were pointing to the paper and writing on it, but not necessarily talking to the camera.
Oh,
So I picked up everything I could, but I'm not sure I got it all.
Well, I have the approved 2-1, but I don't have any markup here.
March 12th.
Well, they were approved as amended, but I still have to execute the amendments on the copy before.
I understand that, but I usually make a note on what the corrections are, but they're not on this one.
I think Commissioner Sorensen did most of the markup, didn't he? Oh, boy, okay.
There's trouble.
There's trouble, you're right. I'll have to look on my desk for March 12th.
But I can do another draft if that helps, and I'll just make it very clear what I
Okay.
changed, so you don't have to review the whole document again.
Okay.
Just let me know what you prefer.
Okay. So are we up to date on all the public minutes now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will try to do the non-public,
Non-public session, right?
they're in non-public session, probably after our lunch break.
Yeah.
Okay. Work session? You got anything to bring up under the work session?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think you were treated unfairly, Mr. Chairman, at the last delegation meeting by Representative McConkey and Representative Chandler. Somewhere, somehow, the statement was made that we hadn't evaluated all employees, and I want to thank Melissa and Ed for trying to help me find the information on the
Did you find it?
tape. No, but in no way would you have said we don't evaluate all employees when in the last 11 months we've managed to evaluate all of the department heads that report to us. The person that throws out the trash over at the nursing home or anybody else in that, over there working, or any other position reports to is evaluated by their superior, not by us. And to think that we would even consider evaluating them is, I don't know. I can't imagine that the delegation would think that, but they both said that's what you said, and I suspect what you said is we don't evaluate all employees, meaning we don't evaluate physically
Right.
evaluate everybody, but I think you took an unfair hit, that we've done our job, and I think we've done it very well, and we've evaluated those people that report to us.
Well, thank you for clarifying that. I didn't realize it. I didn't take it that way, but if I said something like that, I meant what you said, that we don't evaluate everybody, but we do evaluate the department heads, and we have done that. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
You're welcome. We take enough hits around here, but we don't need to take unnecessary ones.
Okay.
This is, I believe, the third or fourth week that the minutes were going to get moved to the safe. The minutes still are not in the safe. When will they be moved?
Can we move those today?
Commissioner Babson, all the non-public minutes are in the safe now.
They are.
Yes.
Were they
Did you
locked?
take an inventory when you put them in?
No, because I told you I wanted to take the inventory, but
Yep.
you're rushing, you want it all in, so I put it all in, and today I will make a list, I will work on it,
Did you?
and Cheryl will help me with a list. You wanted it in, rushing.
My
I
question-
said, I just want to have an inventory, and then I put it in, but I've been asked, no, put it in, so all the minutes are in, and I'm working today on the list.
Okay. The question I had for you is, I noticed this morning that the safe was not locked.
It's locked.
The handle wasn't brought up. The door was closed, but the handle wasn't brought up, meaning that anybody could open it up and look at
No,
it.
it is locked, why don't you both go look at it?
I will.
The minutes
Okay.
are in
I
and
thought
on the
that's what I
spot.
saw this morning, but, okay. I'll take your word for it. Anything else on the work session?
No.
Okay, then we'll move into public input. Anybody, public input? Yes, Melissa?
status of the electronic file storage? What's happening?
It was taken out of the
Down.
budget.
They took it out of the
They
budget.
took it out.
I missed that. What?
The delegation took it out of the budget.
Yep.
When did that happen?
That was $30,000.
Yeah.
That Commissioner Babson actually requested to be put in there, but it was taken out.
At the subcommittee or in a regular meeting?
I think it went from the subcommittee to the regular committee. It wasn't done
Sub-
Friday, but it was done a
Yeah.
month and a half, or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Happened while you were down in Stratford.
They have it down there. Never mind.
I wish we had it here.
Okay, you wish we had it here. Is there a way we can still have it here?
No, not this year.
The one word that motivates the most, no. Thanks, Babson.
Well, we tried,
Oh,
and
that's-
it's up to the delegation. They didn't want to fund the,
Do you know which
Yeah, fine.
delegate was suggested cutting it out, or do you remember the conversation?
It had to
Like-
start with the subcommittee.
Okay, and that would be Umberger's subcommittee?
Yes.
it would have been under the commissioner's budget, I believe, wasn't it?
No, it was
Oh,
under
capital expenses?
capital expenses.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. And they didn't move it somewhere else, out of
No,
capital?
they
into
moved it
something
out,
else?
not
Just-
up or down or sideways. They moved it
Took it
out.
out.
Just done, okay.
Yep.
Perhaps because there's a performance audit about to happen, they wanted to see how that played out first?
That
or-
could be one reason. The second reason was that the nursing home is under a,
System like it,
what?
a system like it.
Yeah, system like it.
They're up and running. Do you know how that's going?
They're up and
over there, if
running?
it's
No, I
still-
don't know how
Oh,
it's going.
Okay. Huh, oh, okay. There was a conversation, and I don't know, there's been so many meetings, I'm not sure if it happened in a commissioner's delegation, but the commissioners were talking about the expansion of maple production and using
Yeah.
inmates to tap trees and boil sap.
I think that was in our public meeting here.
Okay. Have you given that more thought, or I was just trying to, no?
Not really. I think we asked them to come together as to what type of equipment they're gonna need and the expenses and so forth. And we did mention that they could probably sell the sap, just collect the sap and sell it.
Okay.
Yeah, you did
But
mention that.
nothing has developed from that. And it won't happen this year.
One of the things that kept coming up is a business plan for the farm,
Right.
and it seems the two sides are not communicating well about what that looks like. One's saying they're not getting any information or a real plan. The other side is saying they were supplied all the
I
information
think
before
we
you
had,
won.
correct me if I'm wrong, you're in charge of the farm. We had three plans. One for livestock, which was cattle and so forth, and how that would play out,
Turned down.
and that was turned down. One was for pigs, and the other one was
Turned
for
down.
vehicles, and the pig one was turned down. And the one for vehicles, basically
Wasn't funded.
wasn't funded. And the other part was the pole barn. They reduced that in half, and I think it was close to being half, if not half. And why, to my own opinion is, why did it blow down? Is because it wasn't properly funded, and we didn't have people that knew how to build one. I think Will testify that. He did the best he could with the money that was available. And he, as he mentioned this morning, is going to be looking at putting out an RFP for the post
Got to anchor them.
and anchoring them.
The sonotubes didn't work in the soft soil.
So we've since learned how to build one better, or someone else is coming in to build it?
I think he has learned an awful lot as to lack of bracing. And the sonotubes that he put in the ground were not sufficient. Some of those broke off, so he's gonna have to start from scratch.
They didn't break off, they moved.
They moved, okay.
So he's looked at two alternatives, one driving, what do you call them? In the ground, like they do on big construction, and another one is a new auger type that they use in Florida, where you drill it down in and you leave it there, and then there's a bunch of different attachments for whatever poster you want to put on the top. But that's expensive.
Do we have an overall plan for the farm?
Right.
Probably not.
And I think
But we had individual sections of it, which put together would come close to a plan.
It just seems that maybe the two sides could continue through the year to try to figure out what the other each is looking for. You know, they were looking for a cost analysis that really shows the true cost of processing wood, or that was one part of it. So.
Oh, we should, that should, well.
It took up a lot of
I think that's
time.
another plan that we had when he purchased
Yep.
the new processor, as to what it would cost and how fast and efficient it would be. Yeah. And 15,000 stacks a year that they would be producing. Maybe it wasn't organized as a plan, but when he submitted it for the new processor, I think he had background information on it.
Had he figured in that all of the costs, you know, that the utility cost, the cost of staff with benefits, time commitment, all of those, every cost, I think, is what.
My original.
Labor is the biggest cost, and if that's not included in the calculation.
Labor is the biggest cost?
Typically, and
Okay,
where
okay.
you're producing something, I don't.
My recollection is, Melissa, that yes, his first submission didn't have all of the, as Representative McConkey pointed out, it didn't have gas and oil and repair.
Well,
But I think the second one did, and, in fact.
It was going to
2 or
reduce
3.
labor, actually, by one person.
That's right.
There's so much paperwork that was shuffled around. Does the business office have all of what you received or all that? Or should I go to Will and ask
No, Will would have it.
for all of that he's given them maybe over the last year? Something?
I
had
got it, but I put
had
it in
some of
weekly, so it's take me a long time to find it if you want it. I don't know whether
Will should
the
have it.
office has it,
Alright,
or
I'll
Will
just-
will have it.
I'll go see him. Thank you. But one more thing on the farm and the use of facilities. Does the commission have any sort of policy or agreement that's signed when groups use the facilities, outside groups? And if so, is that done with UNH and the blacksmith?
Not that I'm aware of.
It was not done with blacksmith, because the first thing I heard about it was
Yeah.
2 weeks ago at the
I just heard about it.
advisory council, and as Will readily admitted, he probably should have said it to us. But the question I asked, are we covered for liability? And the answer from the university was yes, so I put it aside of that.
If it's an organized 4-H club.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there's actually something, you know, like these are the county's expectations for use of our facilities, and this is what the group agrees to do, you know, some sort of something that says this is who's gonna be on the complex and when.
Mm.
Towns typically have that, if you wanna use the gym or you wanna use the meeting room. It was a discussion.
Regarding the meeting room, if it's open to the general public, no problem.
For the
Your
blacks-
particular one was not open to the general public.
Right, I know it was a discussion at that time, so I wondered if it just went nowhere after that about adopting a policy. I think Kathy Berry had some sort of form that you signed to use the facility, if that was done.
We could come up with a policy, I guess. Yeah. But normally, all our public buildings are open to the general public.
During working hours.
Yeah, well,
Although I came here one night with Fish and Game and a Bobcat presentation, and I don't know what happened a couple of years ago.
The police people with their dogs were using the old nursing home. We approved of that. I mean, it wasn't a profit-making thing. It was a use of facility for training purposes. You have a question or a comment? Lynette?
I do, and I'm not sure, I'll check with Kathy Gary, but we should have a facility use policy. And I know in collaboration with Primex and going to their different presentations, they would absolutely, because they're our liability insurer, they would have a template that we could create a facility use policy for Carroll County.
Mhm.
So we can make that happen, definitely.
Okay, all right.
There was talk about the, all the work that went into continuous.
So you want to ask one more question?
Can I keep going?
Well, you just said the last one was the last
Oh,
one.
did I?
I love answering.
That was
Go
the
ahead.
last one on the
Oh,
farm, I guess.
okay.
There was talk about how thanking Kathy Gary for continually updating and keeping up with the budget numbers and all that. It was very confusing this year.
You're right.
As far as also, it was difficult as a member of the public to follow along with what was happening in a timely. The latest budget that was available on the website was dated December. So and between December and March, you probably had at least 4 revisions. And so we're trying to follow, if one of the
Okay.
things that was suggested, I think it was by Representative Cordelli, perhaps, is incorporating the budget into an Excel spreadsheet, which then could be, I mean, you could even go so far as to have it in a PowerPoint during the budget discussions, and when something changes, calculate it right there, and everyone can see it, and there's no... I come at it from 2 things. One is saving paper in 2014, and the other is making sure that the public can follow along. For example, this electronic file storage money. If I had known that was gone, I would have had the opportunity to speak about it in public comment.
Yeah.
I missed that opportunity. The budget's finalized, and so...
Okay. Could I try to answer part of your question?
Sure.
What was on the website is our budget that was sent to Concord the 1st of December. That's our budget, and any changes that are made are left up to the subcommittees and the delegation. I was confused also when it came to vote on different things as to what we were voting on. But it wasn't our budget, it's their budget. I think they tried to shut us off for making any comments, but we continued to do that, just to try to support why we put it in the budget. But anything that's on the website was what we approved. All the subcommittees, they all had to go through the delegation finally to get it approved. So I don't think it was our problem. I think it was their problem.
During the budget discussions and the approval process, also I noticed it on several times, even members of the delegation didn't have the same pieces of paper. While some were looking on 4, some were looking on page 6, because they had 2 different dated, time-stamped copies, so.
Yep. Go ahead, Commissioner Babson.
To answer that, Melissa, that's their responsibility to have the right paperwork. We had our budget in, it's their budget. They're the ones that are supposed to be setting it up and having it here for the public. What's the other thing I was going to say?
While he's thinking, I will say that the HR department, Winnette and I have had a discussion about putting together a PowerPoint to explain our budget when it comes in December, so that everybody can see the same figures that are up on the wall versus having different sheets and not knowing where they are. Everybody can look at it. I did this years and years ago for Co-op Extension. We had a PowerPoint, and it was when the old nursing home, and it went up, and it turned out to be lengthy, but at least they saw everything that was in the budget. Okay, go ahead,
My
Commissioner.
memory's working again. You might want to check with Representative Ticehurst. She was hot on picking up where Representative Cardelli left off and getting something that she could change at home and then see the effects.
It
So
was
she's
her.
done some research, so if you talk to her.
It was her that said that. Thank you. I do remember her saying that too during the process. I have a question about the union contracts.
Yep.
Viewing the meeting, I got the impression that from the chair that, well, they took their time doing the negotiations, so too bad they lost out.
They haven't lost out yet.
No, but I just kind of got that feeling from your comments
They-
regarding, they stalled, they were taking too long, they started too late. So, but I just wanted, I got some information and I wanted to know if this sounds at all accurate, that the nursing home union actually filed their intent to negotiate in May of 2013. And then.
All unions do that.
Okay.
Their union rep does that.
And then there was no meeting until October 23rd, in a meeting that was set up by the county's attorney, and it was a 10-minute date-setting meeting for future negotiations. Then on October 30th and November 14th, I'm sorry, November 19th.
Meetings were canceled.
The county canceled both of those meetings. And then they met on December 5th, and there was no proposal presented from the county side. January 23rd, the meeting was canceled by the county. And then things finally seemed to kick in beginning to mid-February. So just from this, and if you're in agreement with this generally, I don't think it's fair to blame the employees or the union. A lot of this seems to be under the county's control about how the negotiations move.
I just heard about that last week, and I will try to do a little research as to why that happened. I don't know what happened to the jail. Maybe the same thing happened there, I don't know.
I don't know yet. Yeah.
But yeah, it sounded like the county had caused some of that when they canceled the meetings. I know there was a snow date, which is reasonable, but, you know, there's no reason why, if there was a problem, why didn't the steward from the nursing home come to us as a board and say, you know, all this stuff happened? I didn't hear about it until, like I said, last week.
I heard about it yesterday.
Okay.
Late yesterday.
I'm hearing about it for the first
Friday,
time
I
now.
guess, Friday I heard about it.
Okay. And then Howie Chandler came in and gave you the announcement about the vote and that it had failed.
Yeah.
And he said that it's because they felt rushed.
Rushed, yeah.
And, I mean, you countered that with, well, they've had since whenever.
That's before I knew that things were canceled and all that other stuff.
And it seems that they had agreed on some things the first week of March.
Yep.
And then there was a call made from the county's attorney to the union rep saying you need to hurry up and get this vote because the delegation is finalizing the budget. So it was kind of just thrown together. There were employees that were absent that weren't at the workplace to see the posting that the vote was going to happen. And then secondly, they were absent for the vote. And so I think I can understand how, yes, maybe it looks like months and months of time, but really, it seems to me maybe they only had a week and a half.
The vote is all up to their union,
Yeah.
but
What happens now? Now the commissioners didn't put money in the budget for their raises.
we couldn't do that because that would set a standard that that's what they were gonna get.
But they already know your hand. Because you said 40 cents, 40 cents, 40 cents, 40 cents.
They could have put in 40 cents?
Through the whole thing.
I don't know what they put in.
Ah,
I wasn't a negotiator,
okay,
and none of us were negotiators. Okay?
all right.
To me, to be honest, I think we did the right thing in setting the 40 cents for the non-public. And that gave a clue to the unions that maybe that's what they should be asking for.
Oh,
I mean, the sheriff's department, they got 40 cents an hour, and that went through, no problem. Our same attorney worked with them.
could I just ask what that?
There's something wrong, I will agree, that I heard last Friday that upset me quite a bit because they didn't meet properly. What's going to happen from now on? They will meet again to negotiate, and if they come up with a reasonable offer that comes before us and we approve it or disapprove it, if we disapprove it, then it'll probably go to arbitration.
What does that mean?
What does
For
that-
people that don't know.
What does that mean? That
arbitration
means that, like we did with the jail, I think 2 years ago, we went to arbitration. It cost us money to hire an arbitrator that we had to agree on, both the union and the board.
Is that like a mediator?
It's a thing where the union sits in one room, management sits in another room, and the arbitrator goes back and forth to see if he can mediate or make an offer that both parties will accept. And then it has to go to the delegation to be approved. Now, right now, they would have to ask for a supplemental budget. Delegation normally doesn't like to do that.
And I'm getting
They have to
the-
do it before the 1st of September. And what, well, I won't say, go ahead.
I was just getting the feeling that they're not interested in entertaining that idea either. I don't have confirmed
Yeah.
anything from them. You know, they can change their minds. Obviously, they meet in May and they can
Yeah.
reconsider, but, okay.
The thing that they could do, if we accepted the offer, is that they could say, you find it within the nursing home. You find it within the jail. That's not a nice thing to do for us, to find it. Because in the nursing home in particular, there's a lot of money involved there. Jail, not so much. Sheriff, quite a bit less. But anyway,
Would it have been better, as far as, you know, for the employee relations between the commissioners and the employees, would it have been better to include some money just in case? Now, I mean, now you've said you didn't make a deal, so you don't get a raise, tough. I mean, that's.
No, that's
if I-
not-
But the perception
that's true. That's true.
that, you know, we're feeding out across the airwaves is that, no, you should have made up your mind, and now you don't get a raise.
I don't have that feeling at all.
Well, you don't work here. Well, you work
and,
here,
you know,
but-
we're here, and it isn't like we're hiding anything. They've been told that if they turn it down, then, and they've got to go to the delegation if we get one, and we're gonna have to have a supplementary budget. We've never said that you're not gonna get a raise, we just said that it isn't gonna happen right this minute.
Can I ask what the 40 cents was based on?
Cost of living,
Is that
which
the-
was about on the average, it was 1.6. And the cost of living,
Was greater
I
than
just
that.
saw something on my unemployment was at 1.7, I think, increase. Who knows what it's going to be? It could be 2%, could be more than that. But that's what we based it on at the time.
Just one last quick thing. The investigation has concluded. It's my understanding the investigation has concluded in the complaint filed by the former jail captain against the commissioners, and it's also my understanding that the commissioners have decided not to release the findings of that to either the public or the former captain. Is that correct?
Based on our attorney's recommendation, yes.
And so, once again, just for clarification, the commissioners are invoking attorney-client privilege, and that it would be an invasion of privacy to release those documents. That's according to a letter that you all signed.
That's what we said in the letter.
All right, you want me to read the letter?
No, you don't need to. It's not necessary.
You don't need to? Okay.
It's not necessary, thank you. I had a question about the process. If someone files a complaint against the elected officials here,
Mhm.
those elected officials then go out and hire someone to investigate those claims.
If we
When
can't
they-
find somebody within house that would have a non-partial investment,
So even though the complaint is against the board,
yeah.
the board hires the firm that will investigate the claims. The board will sign the checks to investigate those claims.
Right.
The board will get a copy of all of those findings.
No, well,
and they will be locked in a file cabinet. The person who filed the original complaint will never get to see them, and neither will the public. Is that where we're at?
And that's, when it goes to court, then that gets released at that point in time.
And I have to say that I have yet to find another organization that is so unwilling to release investigation findings. I regularly deal with the State Attorney General's office regarding personnel and investigations of elected officials, as well as other counties. And my requests for information are met with an immediate response, and the information that I've requested, albeit redacted in part as necessary to protect personal information, such as phone numbers, social security numbers, etc. I have no problem getting investigations from any other agency except for this one. And I just...
What can I say? We're following a recommendation of our, not our county attorney, but the attorney that's representing the board.
Okay, thank you.
And I will also add, Melissa, none of us have seen the report.
Do you expect that you will, since you paid for it?
I think if we all demanded that we could, we probably would, but it was suggested to us that we didn't.
I just find it unfair for the person that files a complaint that they never get resolution.
They take us to court.
Right, and is that what we want
The
as
judge.
taxpayers, to keep flying across the street? No, not really.
I agree. Go ahead.
Melissa, I want to apologize when I made my remark about the last question, which wasn't the last question, but I didn't mean it in a negative way. I was pulling your chain, and I find it quite refreshing to get ideas back from Stratford County, because they seem to be a little bit ahead of the curve. And thank you for bringing that information back.
Good as information if you don't share it.
Sure.
We're not in a bubble here.
Even if computers are disappearing.
Okay, any further public comment? If not,
I'd like to make a comment.
what?
Hi, comment.
Make a comment?
Yes.
You want to make a comment?
Yes.
As a public or as a commissioner?
No, yes, as a commissioner for...
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say I'm disappointed that the electronic file storage didn't came through. I attended a subcommittee meeting, and it was Representative Umberger said she just take it out. Was never a vote taken in the subcommittee, and also by the full delegation was no vote taken. I think given what is going on in the business administrations, we're behind with audits, and I think it is also positive for the right to know law that we have immediately the papers there. And it was my understanding that she said if it gets implemented, she wants the whole county in every department immediately. But I think, in my opinion, we could have been started with the business administration office. And my second comment, what I want to make, is about a combination of the safe. It was printed, and the combination was put on each commissioner's desk. The employee, the business office printed out and put it on. The combination came from...
I did.
Huh?
I copied it myself.
From where?
Put it on your desk.
From where
I
did you
got
copy
it from Howie, and that's where the safe came from.
Well, I was told that it was sent to the business office and they printed out.
No.
So the business office information is incorrect, and Mr. Howie Chandler information is incorrect.
Yes.
He gave it to me. I made a photocopy for each of you two.
I have an
That's where it
email.
went.
I have still that email.
What do
so
you
I
mean?
can give it to you, where it went.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I have that email
Okay.
from where it went that he put it. That was
That's
my
it?
comment. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a question to follow up on something you
Sure.
just said? Is there a process for citizens to petition for a supplemental, or does that have to come directly from?
I get to look up the law, but I think the commissioners can request a supplemental budget. I'm not sure about anybody else.
I think the commissioners can, but not the public.
I'd have to look up the law. I think the majority vote of the Board of Commissioners can request a supplemental budget. And I think they have to do it, whether they prove anything in it.
They
It
also-
costs money to do that, because all the towns have to be notified.
They also have to have a public hearing.
It has to be a public hearing, yeah.
As we move through and maybe request one for settling the union issues, can it be more than one issue on the supplemental, or do you have to go for each? Do you know? You don't have to do this, so I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. My question was.
Depends what the request might be for the supplemental budget. If we include 2 or 3 things, we have to have the hearing on all of them.
I was just wondering if it comes to the point of having to request a supplemental, if you could also consider including in that, putting back the money for electronic file storage. Just to I'm not asking you
Yeah, I
to
don't
commit
know.
to anything,
Yeah.
I'm just asking you to understand how critically important people,
Yeah,
some people think this is.
I think the answer to that, not to that question, but why they took it out, I think they're looking at the performance audit that would show that it's needed. They'd rather spend the $27,000 on a performance audit than to put $30,000 into a cloud to store our documents. I agree with Commissioner Kenney. When we put that in the budget at $30,000, we were focusing in on the accounts receivable because Kathy Armstrong is overloaded with stuff. In fact, our whole office down there is overloaded. But that, by focusing in on that particular area, I think would have helped us out a lot, but it didn't happen.
I think something else that would have helped out was the day that Representative Umberger got upset because you couldn't pinpoint where something happened in the minutes.
Yeah.
With electronic file storage, all you would have to do is type in a couple of keywords, and it would bring up all sets of minutes with those words, and you
Yeah.
could just.
I,
So that was a good example of when it would have been helpful.
now that you brought that up, I need to apologize because I thought definitely that it was in non-public and it turned out to be in public. So that was my fault. But anyway,
Oh, can I make the comment? Can
Yeah.
I follow up on that? Just like I said, it was not done in non-public. So we have Representative Umberger just putting up a big drama for nothing. I said if it was done in public.
okay. I thought it, never mind. Any further public comment? All right, what I'd like to do is take a break. We come back into non-public at 1 o'clock. It would be with our attorney who represents the board. And I hope at that time, while we're in non-public, that we would approve some of the non-public minutes. Can you be here after 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I can be.
I think maybe we should start first with a non-public so we can send her home so she doesn't have
Yeah.
to wait.
Yep.
Then we will have the consultation with our attorney.
We have a call now. Commissioner Kenney had email correspondence with Attorney Bailey, and Attorney Bailey will not be here. We have a conference call set up with Attorney Bailey for non-meeting. So you will go into a non-meeting to have a conference call at 1 o'clock. So I just want to make sure that for time frames, 1 o'clock is the call with her.
There's something wrong with this. Two of us, at least 2 of us, said we would not like to have 2 attorneys coming at their cost. And we agreed, and she agreed that just she would come. Now she's not coming.
No, and I just.
And that was not a board decision.
I was just.
And it was not a board decision either way, I don't believe.
Well, I think we all agreed with Asha, that we both agreed with Asha, that we didn't need both of them coming here. We could use one on the telephone.
Correct.
But certainly, I got a copy of an email from Commissioner Kenney to Mrs. Bailey yesterday at, I think it was 10 minutes to 6, asking her not to come. That was too expensive. And I don't consider that a vote of the board.
It's not a vote. Well, I sent an email because Commissioner Sorensen mentioned last that there was a big bill, it was $10,000. So when I see that two attorneys were coming, one or two, to save the taxpayers' money, I said that this may be better if we have a conference call. I copied the two commissioners also, and they could have input if they want it or not, but I make a suggestion that it is cheaper to have a conference call. She's coming here, we have to pay all the mileage and everything what she's talking, and I think a conference call is cheaper. And if the commissioners didn't want that, the information was right there, and then you both could say, no, let the two attorneys come to the county. What will
Well,
cost them more
coming in
money?
at 10 minutes to 6 yesterday, doesn't cut mustard with me. We knew that she was coming since last week, and something could have been done a lot earlier. Okay, so we adjourn to 1 o'clock, non-public.
Are we recessing or are you
Rec-
adjourned?
No, I'm sorry, not adjourning. We're recessing. You're correct. Okay?